Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 33rd monthly TWitWoW Q&A. This month is March of 2019, and we will be answering all of the questions that you all asked us between our last Q&A and today. We ended up this month with a grand total of 48 questions. We had 51, but as soon as we looked in chat here, somebody asked us to remove their questions, and there were 3 of them, so I just removed those, and we're down to 48. So we've got 48 questions to answer. We always talk about how we want to be between 45 and 65, so that's pretty much perfect. John, have you taken a look at any of these Q&A questions, or are your eyes as fresh as mine?
My eyes are as fresh as yours. I really didn't have the energy to do what I've been doing the last few installments, and that's, be prepared. Because I think for like a lot of the more fantasy booking and stuff, I genuinely do like to be prepared, but it just wasn't a go this time. So let's see what happens. Let's flip that coin.
All right, man. Well, I guess we can get into this then. Our first set of questions came via Twitter from Brandon Best. First question from him was, Edgar Allan Poe and Robert Frost meet at a bar. What's the interaction like?
Poetic. Actually, I don't know, because I've read very little of Poe and even less of Frost. I don't know. I'm assuming it would be lively and beautiful, and just any kind of worthwhile interaction between two opposing intellects, I think, is always a sight to see. So I would say it'd be good, but I can't really get into anything specific beyond that because I'm not too familiar with either's work. So
yeah, I'm completely and utterly unfamiliar with Frost's work, and literally, as is like 99% of the planet, the only thing I know from Edgar Allan Poe is The Raven. So
yeah. All right, next question.
Yeah, up next from Brandon Best, we got, what are some of your favorite things in wrestling in 2019?
Oh, God. The youth movement continues. A lot of promising young wrestling talent. I mean, Scotty Davis, a wrestler that I recently discovered thanks to the Chiefin and his Patreon request of Over the Top Wrestling. He can't be any older than 19, if my math is correct. And he is very promising. New Japan, I think, is doing amazing things. I will say, for my criticisms, as far as the promotion and the dissemination of like women's wrestling material and causes by WWE, because a lot of the times it does seem masturbatory. Like, look at what we're doing. I would say that this has been an amazing era for women's wrestling. Like, if you're constricted to WWE and beyond, there's still obviously like a lot of amazing stuff there too. I don't think I've been a bigger fan of women's wrestling than I am right now in this current era. So that's another positive. I'm sure there are plenty of other stuff, but I'm actually going to volley it over to Ashton to see anything that he would like to say. What about you?
Yeah, it's funny. I was really, I feel like you went for more broad stroke answers. I'm going to be more thin stroke. I'm going to be more specific. Kofi Mania, Becky Lynch being the man and literally outselling everyone and outdrawing everyone legitimately through the numbers. And Daniel Bryan, the new Daniel Bryan, continues to be, I think, one of my favorite things in wrestling. SmackDown being the land of amazing promos in general has been awesome. The Miz Shane McMahon storyline has been great. As far as New Japan goes, I'm loving Switchblade as the IWGP champion. I'm loving Ospreay stepping up, I guess, in a way to the never open weight division so that he's not strictly limited to facing juniors. I'm extremely excited for Hiromu's return, and I'm hoping that he's able to return in time to compete in BOSJ this year. That would be incredible. What else? Let me see. NXT. Everything NXT pretty much. I mean, the whole Ciampa Gargano angle, which is kind of blown up now, and we have a question about that later, but, that still happened in 2019, and that was great. Adam Cole, obviously great. Matt Riddle's rise to stardom is just an absolute joy to watch. Keith Lee is hopefully going to get that same treatment, although he has been injured from what I understand recently. The whole story with Shayna Baszler and all these challengers coming at her, there's a lot in wrestling that I've really been enjoying this year. And I'm kind of one of those people who, aside from just saying like, oh, Raw sucks, I tend to focus a lot more on what I enjoy than what I don't enjoy. So if you had to ask me what I really hated in wrestling outside of just Monday Night Raw in general, I'd be a lot more kind of pressed to come up with an answer on that.
Certainly. Yeah, I don't think there's anything more that can be said. Next question.
Next question from Brandon Best. Can Ronda just leave wrestling already? Yes.
I can't fucking wait for it. I'll tell you that.
I mean, it's definitely rumored that she will be at least taking an extended break after Mania, which can't happen soon enough.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really sick of her. You know, and that's the thing. I've been very careful about because a lot of women's wrestling fans are really happy about the triple threat main eventing, and I don't want to rain on their parade because we know what women's wrestling used to constitute as in WWE. But I don't think Ronda has contributed anything worthwhile to anything really, and people that
I mean, she's definitely contributed eyes to the product, if nothing else, and also like I can't really even give her as an individual credit for this. It's more like circumstantial, but if it wasn't for her presence in WWE, we would not be seeing the women main eventing WrestleMania. And like, I don't necessarily have respect for Ronda Rousey as a person or as a performer or anything like that. But at the end of the day, I can still admit that there would not be women main eventing WrestleMania if she was not a part of that match. It could be her in like a fucking handicap match against the Iconics, who you know I love, but they have zero credibility at this point. And they would still probably main event WrestleMania because it's Ronda Rousey.
Right. You know, and I would concede those points to you. I just feel like, but see, to me at the same time, and I know you even said it's circumstantial, and I really want to emphasize that point. I think Ronda has a lot going for her the same way that Charlotte does. It's the positioning and it's the name value only. When you go beyond those surfaces and you look for actual substance, Ronda to me doesn't have any. I think, again, she was very fortunate early on in her run to be positioned to work with people that can actually, you know, either put on good matches or at the very least outside of in-ring work, tell a good story.
Yeah.
And I think,
and she's not even like a good, like, advocate for the brand either. Like she's
out
of her way to damage WWE's credibility and wrestling as a whole's credibility.
I mean, honestly, dude.
The thing is, like, that's all a work. I'm convinced it's all a work. It's just WWE being stupid and not knowing how to handle her.
And that's just, I'm so glad you use like that phrasing about handling, because especially her social media promotion, which, like it or not, social media promotion is going to continue to be a thing in WWE feuds for the coming
and
years.
You know, I don't like it, but I'm still with you on this.
Yeah, like I don't like it either necessarily, because I do think the best stuff should be for TV, but it's kind of the trajectory that the company's going in right now, and being mindful of that fact. So she needs a handler for her fucking Twitter account. Because, like,
she just needs to hand over her password.
Yeah.
A social media team, and they just need to change it and lock her out of the account and just handle her shit for her. And they run everything through WWE, and WWE needs to get their heads out of Vince Russo's ass and stop with this garbage ass worked shoot bullshit.
And you know what? I just want to say this because I know Javaris has, like, he wants me to talk more about Rousey later in the Q&A, so I'm going to hold off. But one last thing I want to say is this, more than anything, to me, just illustrates the crying shame that it is that Shayna Baszler isn't as big of a name as Ronda Rousey. Because I'm not saying Shayna's perfect, but when you look at, like, her in-ring work, her promos, and how she governs herself on social media, which we both agree, whether we like it or not, is a factor in WWE storylines today. She just checks every box and just is superior to Ronda, like, in all of those facets to me. The only problem, again, is she does not have the name value that Ronda Rousey does. Exactly. And that's really a crying shame, because if she did and she was in this spot, dude, I would not be bitching one bit. I'd be fucking salivating for this fucking match. But to be truthful, not to jump the gun, because I know preview predictions is next week, I don't even know if this makes my most anticipated, like, my top 5 most anticipated Mania matches. Like, I have a lot of thinking to do, and if it does, I guarantee you it'll be because of Becky, not really because of the either two performers. So that's really just me, and that's all I'm going to say for now. So unless you have anything else you want to add, we can move on.
All right, fourth question from Brandon. Any current 2019 anime you're watching? He said that he's watching Dororo and Magical Girl Spec Ops Asuka.
Not yet, Brandon, but I've been very much looking forward to watching Mob Psycho 100 Season 2. Kakegurui on Netflix. I'm waiting for season 2 of that. It was supposed to come out in January, then I heard March. March is now all but passed. And so if we're focusing specifically on Japanese animation, because I know me and Ashton did watch Love, Death, and Robots, which I guess we'll reiterate that for Rotten Butter's question. But as far as specifically Japanese animation, No, I have not watched anything recently to my recollection, and it's kind of a shame because like I just feel like the best animes out there are just ones that are like adding new seasons, not necessarily new animes in and of themselves. Like for example, My Hero Academia season whatever. I'm looking forward to that. Attack on Titan season 3, it should be. There aren't really any new animes that I've been checking out. Just pre-existing animes that are just adding seasons. But maybe I'll broaden my horizons soon. Who knows?
Either I've had a misconception for a long time, or you were saying it wrong. One of the two.
About what?
Isn't anime the plural of anime?
I don't.
Wouldn't it be? I've been watching a lot of anime rather than a lot of animes.
Did I say anime? Look, either way, I really don't want to get into this, so I think I'll just say that I misspoke, and it probably is just anime. I'll just say that I misspoke so we can move on. But yeah, either way.
I mean, I'm not trying to hold us up. I just am genuinely curious.
No, because I know you're not trying to hold us up, but I know what usually happens here, so I just think that I flubbed, and that's probably the easiest way to go with it because I probably just misspoke. But again, I was just making more distinction because he's probably asking about specifically Japanese animation, whereas anime really in Japanese culture is just animation. So like Avatar would be anime, but the only thing that we want like broadly construed would have been Love, Death, and Robots. So yeah, I misspoke. I apologize. And so no, nothing for me.
Yeah, no, this might as well have been a question just for you, John, because I don't watch anime just kind of in general.
Right.
It's not something that I really ever watch. Fifth and final question, though, from Brandon. Are there any independent films that people should watch at least once?
Again, this is a lot like the anime question in that, like, I don't even know if I've watched any films that would be regarded as, like, independent, because I don't even think Whiplash is necessarily an independent film. So I honestly can't answer this, because much like Ashton with anime, I would even have to think about what films have I watched that would be constituted as independent. So I don't think I can really answer this.
You know what, dude? I think I have an answer for both of us.
Okay.
Memento.
Was that an independent film? That wasn't like a wide.
It is considered to be an independent film, yeah.
I'll be damned. All right then, Memento.
Yeah. That was like Nolan's launching pad almost.
All right, fair enough. Yeah. Hey, if it works, it works. That's a suitable answer. So
yeah, that's one. Dazed and Confused is one. Clerks is another really good one. I enjoyed Clerks.
Yeah, Clerks is a fun movie.
Yeah.
All right. I think that was Brandon's last question, right?
Yes, it was.
All right.
Actually, you know what? You said Whiplash, but apparently Black Swan was an independent film. I wasn't aware of that, but that's got like a very similar overall tone to Whiplash in the sense that it's about like this obsession to be the best at something and failing and failing and failing and eventually literally giving away everything else and just completely doing away with the periphery and solely focusing on this one thing that you're obsessed with becoming the best at and succeeding.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch Black Swan because that's a Natalie Portman film, right? And
yeah, it's Natalie Portman. Mila Kunis is in it too, I think. Yeah,
I just haven't gotten, like, I know it's been around for years now, but I haven't watched it yet. But honestly, you mentioning it, I may watch it soon, with my free time because I've heard good things. And yeah, I definitely shares that affinity with Whiplash. So yeah, I guess that'd be another one, but I can't recommend that obviously because I haven't seen it. But yeah, I've heard many good things about it. So
all right, up next we've got 3 questions from Racist Fan Rocks. First one's just for me. Are you going to play the new Pokemon games? Probably. I'm probably going to end up finding a Switch emulator and playing those and Smash and Odyssey, and whatever the hell else. But I'm gonna try. I'm gonna do my best to. Yes, hopefully. Second question from Racist Fan Rocks. What would happen if Nick Gage went to AEW?
I'm not really too familiar with that performer, so I would hope that they'd succeed like any other AEW performer, but I don't know. So,
oh, he's on the older side. He's 38 years old. Holy shit.
Yeah, so I don't really know how many quality years you're going to get out of him because I also don't know like what style, how beat up he is.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a problem too. He's best known for CZW, brother.
Oh Jesus, that bump card's got to be maximized. Yeah, I really wouldn't expect much, honestly.
All right, third and final question from Racist Fan Rocks. Do you like Takeover New York's theme songs?
They're all right. To be honest, I'm not really too stoked on most of Takeover's music. Like, it's not that it's bad. It's just that there seldom comes out a track that I would listen to again. And I don't think there are any songs like that for Takeover New York. So I'm just gonna say, no, I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't even know what the songs are, so I guess that gives you an idea as far as just like not having that connection with me and not making me like, oh wow, this is great. Because like with like the baby metal song that they use, Karate, and I think this might have even been the same show. The Struts song that they used could have been me, and even like the Poppy song that they just used recently. Oh, there are instances where NXT will use a song that will really catch my attention, and I'll be like, "Whoa, what's that?" But Takeover New York doesn't have anything like that yet. So I'm just going to say I'm apathetic towards it.
All right.
All right. Up next, we had 3 questions from Hypothesis. First up, if Johnny Gargano wins the NXT title, he won't. Would that make him the brand's first ever Triple Crown champion? Yes.
Yeah, it would. Too bad he'll fail like he's done at everything else in his life.
Precisely, John. I'm so glad you were able to discover.
Absolutely. Next question from Hypothesis.
If we ever got a Lucha Underground Season 5, could they make a video game to take its place?
You know, it's always a shame when promotions I really like never are able to come out with the video game you imagine in your head. Because I did that a lot as a kid, like when I was a TNA fan and stuff like that. And then they came out with a video game and I was like, ooh, yikes. So Lucha Underground, I don't know. I think it would need the proper funding to really do justice to what they've been able to do on television. And so I guess if they got it bankrolled, I mean, why not? You know, I mean, I think DeJoseph's been the one that has said, like, you know, give us a Christmas special, give us you know, kind of the format of a movie. Just give us some medium with which to finish our story. A game would be unconventional, but then again, Lucha Underground, you know, kind of thrives with unconventionality. So, I mean, why not? Really, at this point, why the fuck not? So, yeah.
I feel like it would be more expensive to fund a video game than it would be to just fund another season or a movie.
I mean, I'm inclined to agree with you there. That's why I really emphasize the qualification of if it got bankrolled, because you know it is a lot of money, it is a lot of time, and again, it is unconventional in the sense that I think a lot of people would just prefer a feature-length film or just another season on television.
You know what, dude? The way Lucha Underground is, they could make it like a Telltale game.
They really could. Yeah, absolutely.
Pentagon will remember that.
Exactly. Comes out, pile drives you into the canvas later. So yeah, I mean, I hope they get to finish telling their story, but the more news that comes out about it, the more dispirited I get. So, I mean, we'll see. Never say never in this industry, but right now, God, a video game would be the best option right now, given what they actually have to work with. So, next question from Hypothesis.
Yeah, third and final question from Hypothesis, and I love this too because it just works. This is for Johnny Goodfellow. All right.
Oh shit. Okay.
If Juice Robinson and Kairi Sane had a child together, what would its name be?
Oh, jeez.
And it's perfect because Juice loves Japanese women. And
yeah.
From what we've seen, Kairi's not too shy around white guys either, so it could work.
Ooh. Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, God, I'm not entirely sure that Kairi wouldn't just birth a rainbow that would eclipse the entire Earth. But if we're talking about like a human thing, that's really difficult. Hold on a second. Let me tinker with some shit here. See, this is why I like preparing for these questions though, because I hate wasting time like this. This is just a lot of hemming and hawing and dead air, and I know we don't like that, but
you know what though? I really don't think that the chat cares as much as you think they do.
Well, then that's good.
Especially if it means getting a good, thoughtful answer. So what are you tinkering with? Are you like messing with their letters in their name or something?
No, I'm like doing different translations for crap, and let's just see here. No. This is why I don't like this. All right, let me see if I can keep Googling stuff. Let's see here.
I mean, what do they have in common?
I mean, they're both brightly colored kind of individuals, very charismatic in their own ways. I guess maybe See, no, I don't know. Because if it was a girl, you know, because a lot of like couples and stuff do this. We could just take the Kyrie name and then maybe the Robinson last name for Kyrie Robinson. So you know that would be the most straightforward name if you really wanted to just get a name out there. But if you wanted to get crazy, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something that's both like seafaring, yet kind of psychedelic, because Juice kind of gives off that aesthetic as well. Like, you know, you just plucked him right out of the 60s and 70s. So, yeah, I don't know. I almost want to, like, table that one and come back. But, yeah, I think it'd be amazing, though. I think that child...
If it's a little boy, they could name him Trip.
That's true. Trip would be good. You know, acid trip and that whole kind of play on words.
Well, like acid trip for that side, but then also, like, boat trip.
Oh, that's true. That's true. And plus, given other like celebrity names and shit, Trip is actually quite, you know, normal, quite grounded.
Yeah.
So I
Trip would be a good one for a boy, but then the girl, I have more difficult time coming up with girl names.
Yeah.
Everyone's suggesting Hope though for a girl, but that just seems so cliche.
But you know what though, it does fit given what pure baby faces they both are.
Yeah.
So Hope actually, and Alex also said Setsuna means love. So yeah, Setsuna Robinson. I actually kind of like that. Yeah, we'll go with that. I like that. So
all right.
Yeah. So next
up, we've got Rotten Butter, my dude. You know what his first question always is. Standard weekly media update question.
Oh, harazies. Okay, so Jesus. Right
was
out
the order this month?
I feel like you're checking something. So before I answer, I'll let you figure that out.
Yeah, I'm just asking, when did the order drop? Did the order drop in February?
Oh, you're talking about the show. When you said order, I didn't know if you were thinking about like Q&A question order or something like that. So I actually had a brain fart there. Let me see. I mean, I know we watched the order this month, so it still counts.
It was this month. It was, yes, the order on Netflix. It was so good.
Yeah, we watched the order, which was a lot of fun, especially the latter half of season 1. I enjoyed far more.
Yeah, like the ending was questionable at best, but everything leading up to the ending was really good.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Love, Death, and Robots. I've actually been watching that twice because I already like watched it with Ashton and his mom, and I'm slowly watching it with the family, kind of getting their reactions. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome. I want to hear what they have to say about it then, too.
Yeah, Russian Doll, most of Maniac, which I gotta say, you know, since I never really give, like, substantive... I usually just list things off, but since Rotten Butter asks this question every month, I'm assuming he also would like to know, like, our opinions on these things. Maniac actually has 2 people that I like in it in separate stuff, Jonah Hill and Emma Stone. But it's been kind of a bore, actually. I have not liked it nearly as much as I wanted to like it. Like, I wanted to keep an open mind and really enjoy it. I actually legitimately fell asleep for, like, half of one episode. Like, it just could not keep me awake and engaged at all. Currently watching the OA on Netflix. That has been a lot of fun, very interesting. I'm curious how the first season will end, and they also have the second season out now. What else? Obviously, I've been playing a lot of Rocket League. We do a shit ton of Rocket League.
We've been keeping up with The Magicians and Deadly Class, which just ended last week.
That's true. I recently created a second Spotify account, mainly for philosophy podcasts. So I've been kind of dabbling in that a little bit. I really need to sit one day and listen to a few episodes like from everywhere, but I want to just kind of do that when I have alone time, because I really can't do that when me and Ashton play Rocket League because it's just too much going on. You know, music is one thing, podcasts are another. But yeah, I've expanded my music on the other hand. A new artist, I Am Lamprey, that I've been kind of listening to. Some American Idol contestants, because I'm actually enjoying that season more than The Voice. I've been watching a lot of YouTube content for both shows, but Idol is definitely more favorable to me right now. Let's see what else. I've been continuing my reading. I'm loving how much I'm reading this year, but I'm not going to go book by book or that because, you know, it's just philosophy stuff, and I don't want to bore you guys with that crap.
We're about halfway through season 2 of Haven.
Yeah, Haven's been a lot of fun.
Edge's character just showed up.
Yeah, right. And I'm definitely digging it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mentioned Russian. No, I mentioned all that. Me, Christy, and we're all watching Handmaid's Tale right now, and God, that is depressing as fuck. But when they fight back, it is so fucking cathartic. It's very enjoyable. Let me think what else. Oh, we've been watching a lot of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. We're on season 2. definitely a good comedy. Andy Samberg is great. Terry Crews is wonderful. I really love the whole cast. It's one of those few shows where I think like everybody has like a part to play. Some obviously more vital than others, just given the positioning of the characters, but like they all are kind of funny in their own ways, and I really, really like that. So I'm really digging that show. Haven't watched any Superstore since last month, so I won't say that. You know what? I think I'm gonna table it here. I think I mentioned like all the big stuff. Ashton, if there's anything you want to mention like that was separate from me, or even things that we did together that I might have forgotten, floor's yours here, bud. So.
Oh yeah. So I've been keeping up with The Voice, and there are a few performers that I really like. I actually have I make a point to go in and like any videos by performers that I really want to keep up with, so that I have an easier time keeping track of them because of how many names you have to go through. And my favorite to win the whole season got eliminated in the knockout or in the battle rounds, which is really unfortunate. It was a little 14-year-old girl named Michaela Estelle. I thought that she was going to be like The Voice's answer to Grace Vanderwall, who was on, I think, like Got Talent or X Factor or something like that. And she ended up being like really successful even after the show and everything. And this Michaela Estelle girl did a really cool song called Electric Love by an artist that I can actually mention as an answer to this question too, Borns, who I literally made a 2-album playlist of Borns and just listened to it over and over again on repeat. And it's great stuff. I really enjoy Borns' music. And Michaela Estelle did a version of that, and I thought it was great. And I thought that they were going to like really get her to go far, maybe even win the season. And then she got eliminated in the first round. There was a woman who did an all Spanish audition that I thought was great. Her name was Karen Galera. There were a few guys that I really liked. There was actually a guy that did a country song for his audition that like I was able to look past genre and just see like, oh my God, this dude's voice is incredible, named Dexter Roberts. He was incredible. Then just recently, like this week, there was a battle between a woman whose name I forget and a guy named Jedge Vincent. He's Filipino, and he has ridiculous amounts of control over his voice. It's ridiculous. Like, it's absolutely incredible. And he's actually got, like, we even saw more range from him in the battle round that he had against this woman. And yeah, he's probably my favorite performer of the season right now. And then there was also a woman, God, what was her name? Maylin Jarman was her name, who was also in a battle on Monday, and she was really good. Let's see, who else did I really like? Selkie is a South African woman who auditioned and made the show. I'm looking forward to her battle. And then I think my favorite female performer left on the show is a 16-year-old girl named Cicely Hennigan. She's been, I mean, her audition was awesome. I thought she was great for her audition, so I'm looking forward to her battle as well. And that's about all I've got. So as far as the voice goes, yeah, I'm keeping up with it. I have opinions on it, so anyone that wants to talk about that, go for it. I also have been watching The Flash, and we've gotten through like 5 or 6, I want to say, episodes of season 4 so far. So we're doing pretty good. We're kind of blazing through it. My mom and I, John has made it abundantly clear that he has no interest in watching The Flash, because we watched, well, when we were watching Arrow, we had to watch a few episodes of the Flash to catch up for the crossover episode with Arrow. And I think John just like found it painful to watch, right, John?
Yeah, fuck Barry Allen. So my 2 cents on the matter.
All right, yeah. So that's that. What else have I done this month? I watched some like nature documentaries. Like I watched one on the evolution of venom that was really cool. Talks about how like all these different species of animals have evolved venom. Like, you know, I forget what the word is. But yeah, like they've all evolved it separately, even though they're not necessarily directly related to each other. And it's just like proof of like what a valuable weapon it is that they evolve it. And then once they get it, it sticks because it's just such an advantage. And then it talked about how like there are some mammals that have some kind of an immunity to snake venom, like these ground squirrels that they were showing. And then they were talking about how the most venomous animal on the planet isn't a snake or a spider or a tarantula. It's a fucking snail, the cone snail, which it literally just chills out on the ground floor of water, like water bodies, like ocean, sea, whatever. And it has like a harpoon basically that it can shoot out and inject a fish with venom. And it's like, well, you know, what could a fucking snail need venom for? Well, it's because it's an aquatic snail and it's a predatory aquatic snail. So the venom helps to basically completely paralyze and disable the fish and prevents it from struggling almost immediately. It's pretty impressive. But apparently the cone snail's venom is so fucking deadly and dangerous that it's genuinely like quarantined by the US government to the point that like they're trying to make sure that no enemies of the state get their hands on it for risk of them creating a bioweapon with this shit. That's how ridiculous it is.
That's fucking crazy. Holy shit.
Yeah. And it's a snail, right? Like that's the thing. It's a fucking snail. God, what else have I done? That's just within the last week though. I always feel like these answers are always like, oh, here's what I've done in the last few days. Whereas I feel like I need to like start keeping track of shit that we do over the course of a month. Because was Captain Marvel was this month. I went and saw Captain Marvel, and that was great. And,
and then we both watched kind of a version together, so that was really cool.
Yeah, so Captain Marvel was a really good one. I really love the first of all the origin story with Carol, and kind of the explanation on how she got her powers, and then like her having to get her memories back and like the big twist and all that stuff. It was really cool. Yeah, so I'm kind of running out of steam here. I'm trying to think if there's any other like superhero related shit that we watched this month. I think we watched Venom in February. Didn't we?
Venom, I believe, was February, yeah.
Oh, dude, no, it was March. Holy shit.
Oh, wow, okay.
It was March 2nd that we watched Venom, yeah. So, yeah, that's another thing. We watched Venom. How about that? So, yeah, we watched Venom, and it was really fun. I enjoyed the hell out of that movie. That was like one of those, like, just turn your brain off and enjoy it kind of movies. Like, if you're paying too much attention, you're probably not going to have fun with it. And I'm not saying that that's the wrong way to watch it, but that's not the way to watch it if you want to have fun with it, if you want to actually enjoy yourself. That's like one of those movies where it's probably really easy to be like critical about and pick out flaws and shit. But if you go into the movie hoping to enjoy it, you're probably going to be able to enjoy it.
I know. Yeah, I would agree with that. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'm about it. Did you think of anything else while I was going?
No, brother, you got this. And okay. If you're good, let's move on.
Oh God, as if the last answer wasn't long enough. Second question from Rotten Butter. What favorites / bookmarked sites do you have on your browser?
Oh, Jesus. Can I just say a shit ton and then volley it to you? Like it's
well, the answer's a shit ton for me too. Jesus.
Then let's move on. No, I'm not unpacking all of that, dude. No, we have a whole
no, I've got okay, my mom just suggested to give 5 each. Do you want to do that?
Sure. What folder do
I know you probably have like a shit ton of like books and ebooks and PDFs favorited.
Yeah.
But I think he's more specifically looking for websites.
Okay. Well, that's what I was going to give anyway. Now, what do I feel comfortable airing publicly? Let's see.
Stash away the porn sites.
No, I'm not even talking porn. Like, I actually don't really do that. But let's see here. I guess Philosophical Salon, that's a website of editorials that I have. Oh God, I still have Reasonable Faith bookmarked. Oh, that's interesting. So maybe I should unbookmark that later. Let's see. There's that. The Stone, that's another kind of form, but that's New York Times based. So like a lot of places that I do have bookmarked are just places with like weekly philosophy editorials. I have a lot of blogs here. American Philosophical Association. I have, let's see, what's another good one here? Oh, yeah. Before Spotify, I had a podcast bookmarked. I'm looking at one now, Philosophize This, which I actually was listening to some of their stuff yesterday. And I'll give one more before handing it off to Ashton.
Tell you
Radical.
what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a screenshot of my bookmarks bar.
Okay.
Because I use Chrome, so I have a bookmarks bar.
Yeah, I use Chrome as well, and I'm looking at my bookmarks bar as well.
I mean, I keep mine nice and organized, though. I don't know how organized you keep yours.
I mean, I keep it organized by subject. Like, I mean, I'll just run it down if we're talking about this. I have philosophical consumption, which is mainly just like PDFs, videos, and stuff that are like, and that is long as fuck. I really need to start trimming that down. I have one for text, which is just exclusively ebooks and maybe like longer essays that aren't just like brief editorials. I have a book list of books that I want to buy. There's a shit ton of Amazon links on here. I have another one that no longer matters. I have books that are inspired by philosophy, which are a lot of poetry books and some anthropology and sociology. I have philosophical organizations that are viable for me to join. I found one in New England. I have another book series based on one philosopher's thought, and I have philosophical research that I'm doing with like one bookmark there. And I have and I have one dedicated to philosophical publications and sites. So pretty much any place that publishes philosophy that I could pursue, and just any kind of blogs and stuff like that. And I mean, now I can really get rid of this because of Spotify, but I did used to have a bookmarks folder of just philosophy podcasts and stuff like that. So it was really organized by, like, I guess, medium, if you will. So.
Yeah. Yeah, you can go check in the chat. I posted a link to the screenshot that I took of my bookmarks toolbar, and it's hobbies. I have a hobbies folder which has all kinds of different stuff in it. It's got like fitness routines and like healthy recipes and Photoshop related shit and like old message boards that I used to be a part of and all kinds of stuff like that. And I also have like in that section I have links to the comics that you have sent me, like the Deadly Class and then the Avatar: The Last Airbender. So I've got those in there. And then under wrestling, I've got archived versions of Wikipedia pages of various wrestlers that have the in wrestling section in them so that I can remember move names and shit.
Right.
And then I have a link to like the Lucha Underground Instagram and the season 4 homepage for episode titles for making titles for videos when we were doing that, and all kinds of like Reddit links in there and that kind of stuff. And then in the games section, I just have like various different articles on different games. Like you already know, I'm into like Robopon 2, so I have like 8 or 9 different links to info on that game, and then I have a few links of related to Minecraft and a few related to MapleStory and Dragon Warrior and Brawlhalla and Pokemon and all that kind of stuff. And then under football, like the football one is probably the most extensive. I've got a section for athleticism this year. I've got a section for all kinds of draft related stuff. I've got a section for football related studies that I have interest in, that I want to just keep like as like a resource in case I need to like, oh, hey guy, this has actually been studied before and here are the results. And I can just link it. I have a fantasy section under the football folder. I have one for Reddit posts, and they're mostly my own Reddit posts just so that I don't have to go back through my Reddit history and I can just go to my bookmarks and pull them up. And then I have one for metrics and one for daily fantasy. And I have a few articles in here and stuff. And then you can see I have basically just shortcuts to get to Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides because I use at least Docs and Sheets pretty frequently. There was a point that I was using Slides more frequently, and I'm sure it'll come again. So I just keep it up there. Duolingo because I want to learn Spanish and Japanese. Chronometer is what I use for tracking my daily food intake. My computer doesn't really have a functioning screensaver. Anytime I try and do it, my computer ends up basically freezing by the time I wake up in the morning. So rather than using like a proper screensaver on my computer, I just pull up a 12-hour long screensaver YouTube video and play that at night from my computer to, you know, not have anything bad happen to it while I sleep. And so that I don't get artifacts. And then the watch is what I use for us, John. I like put video links in there for stuff that we have on our queue. Like right now, there's a Bridge 4 video in there. There's a Pixelmon video in there. There's a Hermitcraft video in there. And then the 18 is all of is links to my fantasy teams from the 2018 fantasy season. That's going to get put in a separate section now that season's over. And then the 2019 database is like new draft related. It's let me actually pull it up. Let's see, 2019 database. There's a guy on Twitter who makes these. What is it called? What's it called? Here we go. It Factor Scouting. That's what it is. It's It Factor Scouting's 2019 player database. And they are just a really good resource for kind of keeping up with players. Honestly, I don't really need that anymore, though, because the website that I've been using for years to keep track of that stuff that was down, and it being down is the only reason I had this spreadsheet saved in the first place, is back up. So I'm going to delete that bookmark now. And yeah, that's about it. So y'all can check out my bookmarks toolbar. I posted that in the chat, and that's my answer for that question. And now I think we're ready to move on, right?
All right, let's do it.
John already did his. Third and final question from Rotten Butter. Is it in yet?
No. I don't know how to answer this. No, I've been disarmed. I'm just going to say no. Every time, every month.
All right, first question from Super Blue. After getting buried by Charlotte and the writers, can Asuka recover from this? And if so, how?
I honestly... Wait, actually, Ashley, I feel like you were getting ready to say something. You want to take this first?
I just said no.
Oh, okay. I honestly feel like maybe they're setting up the foundation for her to turn heel. Because, like, either that, or she's going to go on some kind of a fucking... I don't want to say redemption arc because that seems a bit cliche, but like something along those lines. Because they even like released something where she apparently said, what was it she said? Actually, I can find it out because people have been liking that tweet like fucking crazy. So let me see real quick. All right, hold on. All right.
Bum, bum, bum.
What was it? Actually, no, I think it
was your face.
No, it wasn't, and you know it wasn't. Behave yourself. Now let me see this here. I can't seem to find it, but it was essentially like, oh, I don't want you guys to give up on me. I'll continue to fight because I have to fight, and you know I love wrestling, and it was like a really emotional kind of appeal. Sort of thing, and it was just heartbreaking. Like, obviously, the translation's always going to be a bit muddy when you take something from Asuka's native Japanese and you convert it to English. But you know, it's just like a very emotional thing. So either she's going to be like on a redemption arc, or it's going to be where she just turns heel and starts fucking people up. Which the only downside of that is because here's the thing: to me, if Asuka stays in WWE, her big story is that one-on-one. She has not gotten a big victory, whether it's for a championship or on a big stage, against Charlotte. Like, that to me is Asuka's big arc, whether WWE is cognizant of that fact or not. And I want to believe that they are, but man, they have abused my good faith so many times I don't even know. So to me, I don't know. For her to fulfill that arc as a heel, it could be satisfying, but you got to do it the right way. I would prefer that she would do it as a face, because the drawback of Asuka being a heel is Charlotte would have to necessarily be the face, and she's fucking awful. I mean, she's awful in general, but she's especially awful as a face. So, I don't know. I think I would prefer a heel turn in the interim, but if we were to get her back in the ring with Charlotte, then I would want them to just kind of, you know, Charlotte be the heel and Asuka be the face, and Asuka to finally beat Charlotte in a one-on-one match. You know, preferably for a title on a big stage, but, you know, one or the other. I really don't care which. But I do think she could be salvaged. What it really comes down to is you have to give a shit about salvaging her in the first place. And I don't know if WWE does or not. That's the big question we should be asking.
That's what I wonder, is if WWE has any interest in her being of any significance whatsoever.
Right, yeah. Yeah, like, and that's the thing. I've been championing Kyrie getting called up and this and that, but all the friends that have been telling me, like, you know, be wary of that because of the trajectory of Japanese talent on the main roster between Shinsuke and Asuka. I mean, you're 100% right. Like, I will never discount that. Like, obviously, it has not been a good track record, and I would like to see really both talents, but mainly Asuka here, turn it around. But again, they have to give a shit about wanting to turn it around with her, and I wish they would, because honestly, you know, I've been enjoying Becky, and I've been enjoying like Sasha and Bayley, but Asuka, when Asuka has like the what's the term I'm looking for? What's the term I'm looking for? The leash. When they cut the leash, that's the phrase I was looking for. When they cut her leash, she's actually one of my favorite women's performers in the company, because her match with Becky at Royal Rumble was probably one of my favorite like women's championship matches, period. You know, NXT, Raw, or SmackDown in a while. I fucking love that match, but I think it was so good because they allowed Asuka to be Asuka. And it just sucks that they keep like watering her down and making her look like shit like this, because I think she could be such an asset. And they just choose to make her almost like an undercard joke. And it's really a tragedy. I think it's actually one of the biggest transgressions like in 2019, one of just the biggest jokes in 2019, that you could do this to a performer of that caliber. But yeah, so I don't know, but we'll see. Next question.
Next question. It's also from Super Blue. We're up to second question from Super Blue. How do you feel about the Lex Man's interview with Lucha Underground writers Roach and DeJoseph?
I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I even told him personally, like, I feel like he did a great job with the questions, which I actually did have a hand in helping him with. And I can say that because I know he acknowledged TWitWoW at the beginning of the interview. I feel like it was handled well. I feel like Roach and DeJoseph, here's the thing, no matter how pointed the question, no matter even like how good the question, they're always just going to be restricted by their own knowledge or lack of knowledge, by like how they can answer. Because like they're never able to answer, you know, when is season 5 coming, for instance. And on issues of a more legal nature, you know, that's not really the department, so they may only be able to give a limited answer there as well. So that's always a risk, but I think it's always good to address the elephant in the room, because it shows that, like, you know, none of the parties are ignorant here. We're not trying to hide anything. So I thought it was definitely like a solid interview. I had fun with it. I think it's really, and I have to give Roach and Joseph credit too, especially because they've done it with us twice. I love that they go to like those alternative media outlets. You know, they could have gone to a Fightful or this formal podcast or that formal podcast, but they go to places like this because they know we love the product and we can be tough but definitely fair because of how much we love it. And I always credit them for having that kind of openness. I think that's really cool of the two of them. And I feel like Alex handled it well. You know, nothing but love on this side of the aisle.
Yeah.
So, anything you want to add, Ashton?
I don't think so. I think you pretty much covered it.
All right, we can move on.
I just, you know what? I will add this. I really enjoyed the Lex Man as an interviewer in that. Like, that's, like, you guys know, Alex and John and I are friendly. I don't think we've listened to one of his like reviews in a little while now, but that interview was the best that I've heard him sound. Maybe not ever, but one of the best, you know, commentaries he's ever done, in my opinion.
Sure, absolutely.
Third question from Super Blue. What are your preview predictions for G1 Supercard? We are going to be reacting to that, so we might as well get this out of the way now, right?
Look at this sly motherfucker trying to get ahead of the answers. You know when the content's coming out, Super Blue.
We're not doing a G1 Supercard preview predictions, though, dude. So this.
Well, I guess so. All right, then. This question is valid. I guess pull up the card and we'll just go through it rapid fire.
Yeah, all right. First is going to be the Honor Rumble. That's a pre-show. We're not going to react to that. So then we'll get to the main show. I'm going to try and do my best to make sure that we go in like a respectable order here. Only seeing one TBA here, and that's Bully Ray versus a TBA. So we don't know who he's facing in a New York City street fight. It can't be Flip Gordon. I'm assuming they wanted it to be Flip Gordon, but he fucked up his leg again, so he's not going to be able to be there. That really sucks.
Yeah.
So I have no clue who it's going to be, but I'm guessing that they're going to beat Bully Ray in this street fight.
And I'll go with Bully Ray to win the street fight. So I'll go with the Bully Ray side of things to win the street fight.
Mr. Contrarian over here. Okay. Then we've got Roosh versus Dalton Castle. This is a tough one for me because I don't really know how Ring of Honor has been portraying Roosh. And Dalton Castle is like a couple months removed from being champion. So I guess I'll go with Castle. I don't think they're building up Roosh as a main event world title contender that I know of. So I'm going to guess Castle's going to win that.
I don't even know who Roosh is. So
LIJ. He's the original. He started Los Ingobernables down in CMLL.
Oh shit. Okay.
He's Naito's tag team partner for World Tag League whenever they do that too.
Oh shit. Okay. I'm still gonna go with Castle though because he is freshly off a world title reign. So yeah, Castle.
All right. And it looks like every other match on this card is for a championship of some kind. So we know Ring of Honor doesn't give a shit about the Women of Honor. So let's do Mayu Iwatani versus Kelly Klein. Mayu retains.
Mayu retains, absolutely.
All right, let's go. Oh my God. I just saw what the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match is, and we are saving that for later. ZSJ versus Tanahashi for the British Heavyweight title from Rev Pro.
ZSJ to win, and I say that also because Tanahashi beat him in the New Japan Cup recently, so I think Zach's going to get his win back.
Yep, agreed. All right, let's see. Ospreay versus Cobb. Winner takes all match for both the Never Openweight and Ring of Honor World Television Championships.
You know what? I have an inkling Ospreay's going to win that. I'm gonna go Ospreay.
You know what? No, fuck it. I'm picking Cobb, and I want him in G1. God damn it!
All right, we'll see. We will see.
I hope I'm right, but I'm assuming you're gonna be
right. Next matchup.
Let's see. Next matchup. Let's do the three-way or four-way. Oh my God, four-way tag team match. Winner takes all again. Four-way tag team match for both the IWGP Tag Team and ROH World Tag Team Championships. Gorillas of Destiny versus Villain Enterprises. You know who they are, right?
No.
PCO and Brody King.
Oh, okay.
Versus LIJ, represented by Evil and Sonata, versus the Briscoes.
Who was the first team again?
GOD.
I'm torn between GOD and the Briscoes.
I'm picking Villain Enterprises.
I think I'm going to go GOD with this one.
Good. I hope you're right. Naito versus Ibushi for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship.
Naito would retain.
I'm picking Ibushi. Fuck it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think Ibushi might just have Naito's number. All right. So now we'll get to this fucking nuts match. Are you ready for this, dude? This is going to be like match of the year contender. Taiji Ishimori defending the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship in a triple threat against Dragon Lee and Bandito.
Holy fuck.
Right?
You know what? Because I feel like Hiromu's return is imminent, I'm going to actually go with Dragon Lee to win this.
You know what? Yeah, I'm going to go with that too. I really hope Dragon Lee wins this, Hiromu wins BOSJ, and they get to have their rematch at, I think it would be Dominion, actually. So, yeah.
Yeah, Dominion it should be, yeah.
God, yes, please. Please, Hiromu, please be okay to return for BOSJ. All right, so then we get to our double main event. Jay Lethal, it's both champions are Jays. We've got Jay Lethal in a triple ladder match, three-way ladder match for the ROH World Championship, defending against Marty Scurll and Matt Taven. I'm picking Scurll to win.
I would love for Scurll to win. So you know what? Because I don't watch the ROH product, so a lot of these have just been like, you know, very basic logic / emotion. This is a pure emotion pick. Scurll for new ROH champion. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, that's why I picked Villain Enterprises to win the tag titles too, because then they're with Scurll, and that would be like everyone holding titles, and that would be so cool.
Yeah.
All right. And we get to our main event, Jay White defending the IWGP Heavyweight Championship versus Okada. I'm pretty confident in saying White's retaining here.
Yeah, White's going to retain.
All right, that's it for that. That was your preview and predictions for the G1 Supercard. That's exciting. I'm so glad that we were able to get that in. Up next, we have our fourth question here from Super Blue. If Ali didn't get hurt, would he be as over as Kofi Kingston fighting for the WWE title? And you know what, dude? I got to tell you, there was a point in time that I would have said confidently, yes, he would have. But in hindsight, the story that they've been able to tell with Kofi and the brotherhood shown by Big E and Xavier, I really don't think that they would have gotten Ali to be as over as Kofi is. He still would have been super over. Like, I don't want to make it seem like, oh, Kofi was the only guy that could have gotten this far, because Ali would have gotten super over. But would he have gotten over enough to make WWE change their plans? as far as Bryan's WrestleMania opponent goes, I'm a little more doubtful about that.
Oh, I'm definitely doubtful about it. I don't think so. I think here's the thing. I think Ali would have been over, and I think he's sincere enough, and I actually do genuinely like his promos enough where I think he could have sustained that momentum. But I think the way that WWE has been able to tell the story of Kofi Kingston's career has made this a more emotionally resonant story. Whereas Ali, it might have been too much too fast. We'll never know. And I do agree with you. The way they've utilized the New Day as a faction that's been together for 5 years, which, guys, you got to understand in WWE time, especially them being a 3-man faction, that is fucking rare. Like, they've outlasted the Shield and Evolution, I think, combined. Like, that is pretty nuts. I'm not even counting on it.
Shield has been around for longer than New Day.
Shield's been around for longer, but they've also had reunions, whereas New Day's never had a fracture.
That's true. Ever. That's true. That is a valid point.
I do have to raise that point, Ashton, because Shield's been around longer, but they didn't take the break, hate each other, all that stuff. I mean, New Day has been right.
Shield was November 2011 to May, I believe, 2014. So it was 2 years, 6 months that they were together before breaking up the first time.
Right.
New Day's been around 5 years, though, almost. They've been around since 2014.
Yeah, and stuck together that whole time. That's the point I really want to emphasize. No breakup, no tension, none of that crap, ever. Nope. That is so rare. Yeah, WWE, I feel like, is always itching. And you know what? I don't know, because they're already talking about race in this storyline, so it makes me a little less uncomfortable talking about it. Maybe it is because WWE just has never had a top black star that they've just decided to keep them together because they don't really see their performers that way. I mean, I would hope that Kofi's kind of changing that perception, this whole storyline, but maybe that's almost been a blessing in disguise to keep these guys together, because every other faction, right, whether it's just all white guys or, with the Shield, you got all those people and the Samoan and Roman Reigns, maybe that's why, because of just the perceptions that's been going on for years. But either way, it's really been to their benefit to stay together because it feels more sincere, to the point where, and I thought these conversations were dead, to be honest, but dude, there are actually a lot of people predicting, and I'm not saying I'm one of them, I'm just reporting what I'm seeing, they're actually genuinely fearful that Big E is going to turn on Kofi at Mania. That's how effective this brotherhood has been, that it's actually got people scared because of how cynical WWE is. Oh, you're going to fuck us, aren't you? And I thought that those conversations were dead because they went together so long, but because they've been together so long and because Kofi has this opportunity, there's the resurgence of that element, which I'm not even entertaining, but I think for other people that are entertaining it, it does add a sense of value to the overall story. It's just been masterful how they've done this. And it's funny that Kofi trying to get to Mania has been the build to his WrestleMania match. So it's been great. It's been absolutely phenomenal. And I don't know if they could have handled it that well with Ali, because I don't think they would have had as many tools in the toolbox, per your point, to work with Ali. So I think everything worked out as it probably should have in hindsight. If you were focused on getting an unfamiliar face to WrestleMania. So good shit.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, next, fifth and final question from Super Blue is for Johnny Scumbag. Cut a promo on Johnny Mundo and Taya, or Johnny Impact, I guess it would be, and Taya going back to being heels. And he also wants to ask how justified their explanation for the heel turn was. He posted a video in the Discord, basically the Johnny and Taya explain their despicable...
I watched it. I can cut you off right here because, oh my God. Look, I'm going to be truthful. A lot of the Johnny Scumbag
by the way, he also did say, did you notice how he put his wife first and the world title second?
Yes, I did, and it was fucking beautiful. I'm grateful for this question because I'm going to be real with you guys because I feel like I have to be to make these Q&As better. Some of the scumbag questions that I've gotten, it doesn't really appeal to the inner scumbag in me. This I will happily answer. Fuck those Impact fans. That pack of fucking losers wouldn't appreciate the talent if it bit them in the ass. They'd be lucky for that kind of intimate contact, for the record. Jesus Christ. Yeah, no, they are absolutely 100% justified. Are you fucking kidding me? Here Johnny is wanting to be a fighting champion, wanting to fight for people that have never cared about him a day in their pathetic lives. And then when Cage comes along, oh, I'm a machine. And then they're just like, Cage. You're, well, I mean, as Brian says, fickle. You're fickle and you're despicable. Here Johnny is trying to be a fighting champion. Saved you guys from the reign of Austin Aries. You're fucking welcome, by the way. And yet all of a sudden the shiny new toy comes along and then it's just all about Cage. Fuck you guys. No, I was absolutely proud of Johnny and Taya just being like, you guys are losers. You're not in our league. We're better than you. And we're going to focus on each other because unlike you, we don't flip-flop on how we feel about each other day to day. It is fucking consistent. And honestly, you're lucky to see one of the greatest wrestlers in the world today even perform in your fucking arena. And yet you're going to treat him like this with booze? And then, oh, your feelings are hurt because they turned, quote unquote, on you. You turned on them first, and you know it. You know, Impact fans and Full Sail fans, they should all just congregate on a fucking volcano because the whole lot of you make me utterly.
I mean, at the rate we're going, Florida's going to be underwater in a decade or two.
And you know what? Honestly, it probably deserves to be. You deserve to have global warming happen to you. I mean, without question. Fuck you guys. Fuck you guys for the disrespect you have shown. Johnny, one of the greatest wrestlers on the fucking planet, Mundo. And you know what? Good for him for prioritizing Taya over the Impact World Championship. Why? Because he knows he can adorn his abs with superior championships. He already did with something we call the Lucha Underground World title. And dare I say, he was one of the best champions that belt ever had too. Fuck you.
The best.
And you know what? He said it, not me. So you know what? He's right. The best. And like I say with Adam Cole, beautiful people don't lie to you. So if Johnny said that the fans turned on him first, would he lie? I don't think so. And you know what? If you do say that he lies, take a good look at yourself in the mirror because I guarantee you probably don't even have abs. So go cry yourself to sleep because you're a loser. Live with that. Live with that fucking fact for the rest of your life or go die alone. I don't care which. The whole lot of you make me sick. It's absolutely disgusting. I'm proud of Johnny. I'm proud of Taya. I never, honestly, I'll be truthful. I will be 100% truthful. It's bad enough that I don't even really watch Impact much. But him being a face for these people, I was honestly starting to lose a bit of interest. You made me lose interest in God. How fucking dare you, Impact? And then you want to go and you want to be like, oh, Johnny said a mean thing to me on the promo, and I just don't know what to do. Your life was already in shambles to begin with. Stop making excuses and look inward because deep down inside you fundamentally understand that you are the problem, and God forbid somebody is winning in front of your face and that's a crime. Walk off a cliff.
He did them a favor by allowing their name to be uttered from his perfect mouth.
I mean, dude, I don't want to like scare you or make anyone faint because it's hard for me to even say it. He permitted them to breathe his oxygen, dude. Like, that's obscene. Like, oh my God. No, I don't know if I've ever hated a fan base that isn't named Full Sail more than Impact fans. If a meteor was to come to Universal Studios and just obliterate the whole lot of you, I would the cosmos would be my new god. That space rock that came all the way down, I would worship it. I would make a church in its goddamn name because it cumulatively improved the human population by wiping your whiny asses out. Long live Johnny Mundo, long live Taya Valkyrie, and get the fuck over yourselves because you'll never be as over as Mundo and Taya. Deal with it. That's my fucking rant for all of you. Fucking fans. Oh.
Okay. You got kind of worked up there. You're gonna be okay.
I deserve to. And I will not be wound up again. I am fine, sir. They got exactly what they deserved.
You're right. You're right. I wasn't challenging you. I'm just making sure you're all right. Okay.
Yes, Foster. I appreciate you appreciating the irony. All right. So next question.
All right. Next question. We've got 3 from Alonzo J, formerly known as Ace the Skylord on Twitter.
All right.
First up, describe the Ronda Rousey experiment in one word.
Cringe.
That's a good word. I thought you would say failure.
You know what? Let me ask you something. If I didn't say cringe, would you have? Because I almost feel like I took a word from you.
I wouldn't have. No, I have a word that I actually. This is probably the only question in this Q&A that I have already given thought to and I already have an answer for, and the word was not cringe.
Oh, okay. Then I'll stick by cringe because I didn't want to take any words away from you. But if you didn't have that in mind, then I'm just gonna run with it. Yeah, cringe.
My one word is desperation, because the WWE showed their desperation to have mainstream relevance when they signed a broken down, reputationless Ronda Rousey, who was coming off of losses, whose UFC career was ruined. Hell, WWE was so desperate that they allowed their own standards to stoop below Jonathan fucking Coachman's. Because remember, Coach said those losses are going to weigh on WWE and they won't hire her because of that. Oh, guess the fuck not. Guess their standards aren't as high as you thought they were, Coach. Second of all, it just reeks of desperation from Ronda because she couldn't cut it in real fighting, so she had to come to do fake fighting where she couldn't lose her ego.
Exactly, and if anything, it's inflated it. Yeah.
And the third big one of as far as desperation goes is the desperation of WWE to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, talk about sunken cost fallacy.
Dude, for sure. I actually love that that was your word choice. So that works on so many levels. I can't wait for the quote unquote experiment to be fucking over. Jesus.
Yeah. All right. Second question from Alonso. Is the Gargano Ciampa feud cursed? Ooh.
I don't want to believe it is, but I don't know.
I don't believe in curses, but if anything is cursed, like, yeah, it seems like it.
Do we have to talk about Ciampa Daddy like this? I'm uncomfortable. I want to be held by someone, and this is really distressing to me. This is really.
Wish I was there so I could hold you.
I feel like one of those animals that when I get nervous, I'd like they just defecate everywhere. Except I'm not going to defecate. I'm just going to cry, and like I don't know. I won't use the word cursed either because I think it's a very loaded term, and it gives legitimacy to other ideas that are fucking noxious, like injury prone. It's just, it's. Really,
I mean, you know. I hate to go there, but who has been? I mean, you just said injury prone. There is such thing as someone being injury prone, but like if like Ciampa's the one that's been getting injured. Gargano has been perfectly healthy the entire time.
Yeah, and I wish I could use the excuse too that like his injuries took place in like a ladder match and an unsanctioned match, but Gargano was in those same matches. So
yeah,
I don't
like
know,
it's like Ciampa. It's probably just I don't know. Like I can't really explain why Ciampa has been getting such terrible injuries, but it reminds me of Hideo all over again.
And then with the neck, it makes me think. And really, I've been genuinely wondering, like, how much time do we even have left with Tommaso Ciampa? And
yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised if he returned and maybe worked another like 3 years and then had to retire.
Yeah, dude, it really is a tragedy though because. You're talking about a guy that, especially you at the time, you were far more vocal than me when he was the Sicilian psychopath, like at ROH. Like it seemed like maybe they wanted to make him a main eventer and then they didn't pull the trigger. I feel like he finally, I won't even use the word figured it out because that's kind of patronizing because it almost seems like it puts it all on him.
Found himself.
He found himself and it was the perfect storm. Like everything came together in NXT and he was just about to put the final touch on his masterwork. Like, I don't know. There's a term like magnum opus in literature, like my best film or my best work of literature. For wrestlers, their magnum opus has got to be like in terms of feud or storyline. This was Ciampa's best work of his career. This was his masterpiece, and he was just about to put the final touch and his signature on it, and he gets injured. Like that devastates me. Even talking about it now, it devastates me. Like I really haven't gotten over it yet. I'm probably not going to get over it until he returns. It sucks, but. To say, is it cursed? Again, that's a very loaded term that I don't necessarily feel comfortable using, but has it suffered from awful fucking timing, both at the very beginning and now, ironically enough, at the very end? Yeah. Yeah, it has. And it's really fucking sad. Yeah. Anything you want to add, or can we move on?
No, we can move on. Third and final question from Alonzo is really more of a request. Rant on the morons that think Roman Reigns' leukemia was a work.
Oh my God, these fucking people. You know, I'm not even necessarily going to rant because, like, my oxygen is precious. But I will say, like, these people fucking commenting on it, they have no, medical experience. They have no actual knowledge of cancer or anything like that. I think it's just incredibly insulting and insensitive. See, this is why, like, I really do believe, and I'm even working on this myself. I'm not perfect. I really do believe that sometimes you should just kind of keep your mouth shut, like in that regard, because it's always going to sound worse out there than it does in your head. Because then when you say it out there, it's open for public scrutiny from everybody. And the people that have really not only been saying it, but doubling down on it, it is just such fucking cringe. I don't like it at all.
I mean, to be fair, I just want to be perfectly transparent here. I was a skeptic at one point, but as soon as like actual cancer society started coming out and explaining like there are different types of leukemia and there are some types that you can recover from in the amount of time Roman did or less, I immediately was like, okay, well, shit. I'm glad that I didn't say anything publicly.
Oh yeah, and that
I would have put my foot in my mouth.
And that right there, Ashton, that final point that you said. Look, I'm not necessarily saying that there's even anything bad about being because we all entertain crazy shit.
Well, and especially because it is the WWE. Vince has shitty like he's literally faked his own death before. Like Vince has gone out of his way to do shitty shit like that before, and you know there's always going to be that natural inherent skepticism as a wrestling fan because it's always like, is it a work?
And can I just say too, and now this is where again I may potentially be putting my own foot in my mouth. The other thing I don't like about all this stuff, like the people saying that like, oh, it's work, and then to Ashton's point, when actual societies come out and they explain it, like you're fucking wrong, like that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
But the other thing I don't like about it, and again I'm maybe putting my foot in my mouth here, I don't like that when that comes out, everybody like doubles down on the love for Roman, and then I feel like he almost becomes impervious to criticism because he overcame cancer. I don't like that either, and I'm not saying that that's necessarily happening, but I actually have a lot of respect for the people that still kind of stand by their criticisms in the sense of like he can't talk, or maybe this could be better, that could be better, and they don't.
I'm kind of the mindset that like, okay, he's back now. We'll know things are normal when people start booing him again.
And I've said the same thing to you. I've said the same thing to you multiple times, when we're like playing Rocket League or whatever. I don't want, and Roman doesn't want. Roman's even said, like, I don't want people to feel like they got to worry about me or coddle me. Like, even he, and I hate to be that dick, but again, like you, I'll be transparent because you were brave enough to do so. I'll do the same. I almost think he feels like, all right, come on. I know you all want to boo me. Let's just get on with it, because then even I'll know when I'm getting booed that things are back to normal. I think even in his own mind, he's internalized that idea. So that's another thing I don't like, because when these fucking idiots come out, it's like, oh, it's a work. Then we're not talking about Roman like as a performer. We're actually talking about an issue that's completely separate from Roman, and that's like the science behind cancer, and those who are willfully ignorant of it, and those that like choose to like accept it for what it is. And I just want to go back to criticizing him as a performer. I will tell you right now, again, not to jump the gun, because this isn't like predicting a winner. I will say emotionally, I'm hoping Drew McIntyre beats Roman at WrestleMania. I don't give a fuck about Roman having a WrestleMania moment. I think McIntyre should be the priority. I'm happy for Roman, the person, that he beat cancer, but he's back now, right? I mean, that's the thing. Like, he wants to work a full-time schedule. So now I can look at him as a performer. And as a performer, I don't like him as much as I like McIntyre. So I'm hoping he wins. Now, I'm sure in some circles, that would make me a horrible person, because how can you root against the guy that overcame cancer? Well, I think I just did. So that's how I did it. And that's really all there is to it, So, like, that's what bothers me, is I never like when things like this happen, because it insulates people from criticism, even if they don't necessarily even want to be insulated. Like, I don't think Roman, the person, wants to be insulated from criticism. I just think that's a byproduct of things like this that happen. I'm pretty sure, like, if I was doing this now, back in 2006, it would have been hard to be critical of Ray's world title reign, right? Because, oh, he's doing it for Eddie. And, like, it's just, it's very emotionally manipulative. It's a very real thing, but that doesn't, like, make it incapable of being manipulated. And, like, you can even see it, like, McIntyre's promo. You may have overcome leukemia, but you won't overcome me. Like, come on, man. Like, you really...
No, you know what, though? Honestly, that was one of the best uses. That was like a reference to the leukemia to me. Because, like, when they use it to get sympathy on Roman. In this case, it was McIntyre building himself up. Like, you think you're a badass? I'm more I'm more fucking threatening than fucking cancer. Like, that's how badass McIntyre is. Like, I thought that was one of the more acceptable uses of the referencing the cancer. Like, that was passable.
Yeah, that's a fair point to make. I just think, again, my general point is I want people to focus on the wrestling and like the merits of the storylines in and of themselves, not the real life people. Because here's the thing, you never know what somebody's going through, right? So for all we know, Drew could be going through some shit. Does that mean we all of a sudden like throw our support around him? Like, I don't think it should be a factor. So I do think people were very dangerous when they were publicly airing their opinions that like, oh, it was a work. you know, without like waiting for everything to come out. Again, it's one thing to be skeptical of that. It's WWE, they're manipulative, this and that.
Yeah,
But
and that's
like,
the thing too, is like not only then is it like a Vince McMahon move, like, oh well, we're never gonna get this guy cheered, so let's just make him go away and we'll have a worked, you know, health scare. But then also like the timing of it is it makes it even easier to be skeptical about because of course he comes back right in time for WrestleMania, right? Like I totally can relate to being skeptical about it and thinking it might have been a work, but as soon as the science came out and it was like, oh, by the way, it's totally possible for someone to be diagnosed of leukemia and recover from it within this certain amount of time, you shut the fuck up about it.
Exactly. So that was really just my 2 cents on it. Ashton, you've already expressed yours. I don't think either one of us has anything more to say, so we can move on.
Man, we're on our second rant question in a row. Javaris Carter, rant on Ronda. And this is just for you, John.
Yeah, oh my God. Okay, so
I'm muting my mic because I want you to have this.
Yeah, here are the rules of engagement, especially since Ashton's allowing me to have this. I'm not going to think about her name value and this and that because we already touched on these questions. I just like, holy fuck, this woman. Like, where do I even start? Okay, one, again, seriously needs a handler for her Twitter account because here's the thing. You might be drawing new eyes, but you're also further marginalizing eyes that historically probably have never felt welcome from your product, specifically like the trans community and those that belong to what I'm now calling the saga community, thanks to a friend of mine, which stands for sexual and gender acceptance rather than LGBTQ+, and just all the letters. Now we got a nice little neat acronym there. So members of like the saga community, I think have historically felt marginalized from watching wrestling, especially when you look at like fucking disasters like Santina and stuff like that. And they're doing a pretty good job of Sonya Deville. I'm just always worried, like, are they ever going to publicize and like kind of, you know, use stuff, the fact that she's bisexual and, you know, all that stuff. So Ronda using like transphobic kind of language to kind of get back at Becky, sorry, I almost had a brain fart there. You know, that's really gross. I don't even know if the eyes that she brings would be eyes that stay, and that's not necessarily an indictment of her. You know, maybe they just found nothing on the product that appeals. I don't even know if she's going to be converting any fans necessarily. Like, oh yeah, I'll watch this. So yeah, she needs a handler on her Twitter. Her fucking promos are awkward as hell. She is way too fucking sensitive. I love that this woman. God, you want to talk about anger and just me getting peeved? Because I'm not going to like shout at this and that. Because honestly, I feel like more of my rants these days are just me more being just annoyed that things exist. This is a woman that competes in an octagon, puffs her chest out. Oh, I'm a fucking badass. Nobody can touch me. Nobody can touch me. And yet then goes on talk shows when she loses because she's a sore fucking loser. I'm going to say that again. You're a sore fucking loser, Ronda Rousey. And she's like, well, people that bring up my losses are bullying. Are you fucking like... So not only do you have a complete disregard for like trans issues and like transphobia to like use that in your fucking tweets against Becky, but then people that are actual genuine targets of like hate speech, harassment, and that kind of violence, you want to equate people factually reporting that you lost bouts in the UFC as bullying. Girl, if you do not detach your head from your fucking ass, I swear to Christ... This woman suffers from Charlotte syndrome in that she's been very lucky to work with people that are far more talented than her. Again, either from an in-ring standpoint or from the standpoint that they know how to tell a fucking story in the ring. And then for months, it is so like, okay, guys, I'm going to do something that I really don't like to do because I know how bad it sounds, but I am going to pat me and Ashton on the back here because while every other wrestling podcast, and Ashton, you can unmute your mic if you want to vouch for me on this, while every other wrestling podcast was like, oh, Ronda's picked up the business so quickly, and oh, her matches are so good. I feel like we were always watching with a weary kind of skepticism. Like we would say,
yeah like we were constantly pointing out how like they're going out of their way to have her need to do as little work as possible, but still put on good matches because of her opponent.
Correction, because I don't want to be a guy that like just lets his ignorance float out there. Brendan corrected me, and Sonya is just fully lesbian. She's not bi. That was a misspeech on me. Thank you for correcting me, Brendan. I do sincerely apologize. But thank you for vouching for me there, Ashton, because yeah, everybody was like lapping it up. Oh, her matches are so good. She's so good at this already, guys. Look how much she's improved. Jesus Christ. Like if she did not get exposed at Royal Rumble last year in that match with fucking Sasha Banks, who by the way, that was this year. This year, well, yeah, you're right. This year, sorry. This year, but either way, exposed as fuck. And You keep talking about like how your heart breaks for Sasha Banks and she should be in the main event. Yeah, that's another thing that fucking angers me too, just in general. The talent that has been fucking passed over for Ronda. And see, this is the one thing that is stopping WWE women's wrestling. It's always going to be good. But if we're truthful with ourselves, and I'm talking viscerally truthful because it's going to hurt, it's never going to be great. It's never really going to break the stratosphere, because if it's not a name brand thing with Ronda, it's an aesthetic thing with Alexa having multiple reigns. And soon, Mandy's going to get her run eventually. Just because she hasn't been a champion yet doesn't mean she's never going to hold it.
Mandy's going to get her reign. Lacey is going to get her reign.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like, they're never going to let the truly talented in-ring performers who, you know, again, just as a quick aside, since we're talking about aesthetic, they're beautiful too. Okay, there's more than one aesthetic out there. Like, I'm not going to drone on it because I've seen other wrestling podcasters do it and it's creepy as hell. But like, yeah, there's more than one aesthetic. It just happens to be the aesthetic is that one fucking guy that if he wanted to do storylines with these women today, we need a whole fucking bottle of Cialis to fucking do it. God, he can't die soon enough. And, you know, again, with fucking Ronda, it's, oh, she's the baddest woman on the planet. But don't talk to her about her shortcomings, though, because that's bullying. I fucking hate it. She's marginally better as a heel, but you can even tell, though, that I don't even, and maybe this is a good thing. Maybe I'm getting worked, because I can no longer even tell the difference when she's genuinely offended by fans just telling her that she's shit, and when she's just, like, being a heel, being like, oh, I don't care what you think. I honestly, the day that she decides to be a mother, I mean, we're sacrificing one life or two, because whoever her children are, they are so fucking unfortunate. And I am so sorry, but we are sparing so many wrestling fans that it's fucking worth it. She is a trash and toxic human being. And I honestly hate that she's gotten as much attention as she has. And the women whose pushes it has held back. Riot Squad's been treated as a joke. Now, to be fair, I did see one tweet recently, because you have to look at both perspectives. They're like, oh, why is everybody getting mad about the Riot Squad? You know, they're mixing it up with main event talent. I will only accept that if fucking Ruby wins Money in the Bank this year, or she gets some big storyline post Ronda when she goes on her little hiatus. People have been asking me, John, why don't you want Kyrie on Raw? Because for the time being, Ronda's on Raw, and I don't want Kyrie on the Ronda show. Because if she's on the Ronda show, you know what Kyrie ends up doing? She ends up being in random fucking tag matches with Dana Brooke. Like, so many women have suffered because of this bitch. It aggravates me to no fucking end, and it is amazing. It's actually genuinely, and coming from a guy who hears this word a lot and usually hates it, it is genuinely inspiring that Becky has succeeded in spite of all of this. Because Ronda just, oh my God, she sucks everything into her orbit. Becky must really be something special to still be her own sovereign entity that's insanely over, despite having to interact as often as she does with Ronda. Like, it's really a testament to how talented she is. I feel so sorry for Ember Moon, who I know she's injured, but let's be honest. If she wasn't injured, would anything really be different?
Nope.
No. Like, if anything,
she would have probably, like, had like an undercard program with the fucking probably the Riot Squad, honestly, instead of whatever the hell else they've been doing, which is like nothing lately.
Exactly. Like, dude,
I guess that would have been the difference then, is that like the Riot Squad would have had something to do post Natalya feud.
And dude, that's the thing. Like, we have been mentioning lately, and now that I'm doing this rant, and I'm gonna cut it because I know we still have probably a good handful of Q&A questions left, so I want to keep this moving. But like, one last thing I want to mention. We keep talking about the name Ronda Rousey and the eyes and this and that, and yet Becky's the top merch seller. Like, and I don't even know what Ronda's numbers were when she was a face, because nobody ever talked about. Like, I don't remember. I could be wrong, but I don't really remember many people talking about her being a top merch seller, this and that, when she was a face. Becky was able to do it. If anything, maybe Ronda was a great punching bag for Becky to do it. But that's a completely distinct statement from saying that, like, Ronda's a name brand with, like, value in this and that, because Becky was the one that's hitting the stratosphere right now. Becky's the one succeeding. She's out here doing the fucking thing that I think WWE thought that Ronda was going to do immediately upon showing up. That's crazy to me. That is fucking crazy to me, that even our conversations about, like, oh, name value and who she is, Becky's the better draw right now, it seems. So, like, why are you here, Ronda? Why are you here? And I'm always going to be angry that Shayna Baszler isn't in your spot and doesn't have your name value, because she would be fucking killing this right now. I mean, Ronda, I would say, is like, God, I don't want to be too mean, but she's definitely better than Jessamine and Marina. But I genuinely wonder, Ashton, when Jessamine and Marina get the time to really develop, which is why they're in developmental, if maybe in the future they'll even eclipse Ronda. I'm genuinely wondering if Ronda will just be the run of the fucking litter, like the last in the fucking pack, because they shot her up immediately.
You mean to tell me she would be literally the Charlotte of the MMA Four Horsewomen?
Yeah.
Least talented, most overpushed.
Exactly. I'm genuinely wondering if the history books will show that she was that, because once Jessamine and Marina really get the time in developmental and are able to hone their skills, which, by the way, quick aside, for people that are telling them like that they can't wrestle and stuff, ease the fuck up, because at least they're here and not on the fucking main event of WrestleMania. Okay, perspective matters. But once they really put the time in, I wonder if Ronda's just going to be the one left behind. And honestly, is that such a bad fucking thing? Like, honestly, with Ronda being so concerned with wanting to be a mother, I honestly hope, you want to talk about fantasy booking, I would love if Shayna and Jessamine and Marina just turned on Ronda, beat the shit out of her, and that was her exit. And then the three of them are just a 3-woman stable. 3 is a nice number. They can run roughshod. They can be the shooters and the legitimizers, and they'll be better than Ronda ever was. I hope that when Ronda doesn't leave, that they don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because you don't need Ronda for that kind of concept to work. If anything, Ronda's a liability as far as I'm concerned. So fuck her.
Honestly, I hope, like, I don't actually expect this to happen, because I think the WWE really wants their 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen match, and maybe even at next year's WrestleMania or something along those lines. But I would love it if they just didn't even acknowledge that Ronda and the other 3 women were like a part of the same clique. Like, I wish WWE would just treat Shayna, Marina, and Jessamine as a completely separate entity from Ronda the way they have so far, but keep it that way even when they're on the main roster. Like, keep them on separate brands, keep them away from each other, don't even acknowledge their history, just pretend they don't even know each other.
That might even be for the best, because I mean, fuck me. Like, again, Jessamine and Marina are still a question mark, because they are where they're supposed to be. Shayna, I obviously love, you know, relative to her talent level and everything. I think she's great. She's been a very reliable hand, a very reliable NXT Women's Champion, and just a reliable performer in general. You don't have to worry about TakeOver having any controversy on it because of something fucking Shayna tweeted. They don't need Ronda. If anything, and I can't believe I'm saying this, because hell, I didn't even really know much about Ronda in the beginning. Seemed like a nice enough person, but boy, when you fucking learn about somebody and you see the deficits, man, Jesus Christ. But I don't think they need her. And if anything, I think it's Ronda that would need them if they were called up. That's just my honest opinion, depending on how well.
Well, yeah, because UFC, Dana White sure as hell isn't going to hire her back after, like, especially if WWE ever books her to lose a match. If WWE ever books her to lose a match, Dana White might as well just fucking scribble out her phone number in his address book, because, like, there's a degree of credibility that might still be left with Ronda just because of the fact that she has run roughshod over literally everyone in WWE. So Dana, like, if he wanted to bring her back now, he could be like, oh, she might not have been able to beat 2 of the best women's fighters ever, but she's still way better than all those fake fighters. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I'm going to punctuate my rant here. I've just hated the whole Ronda Rousey experience. I've hated how it's held back. Really, Sasha and Bayley, because they've said, like, they wanted the tag titles because they knew if they didn't have tag titles, they would be in the same position as a Ruby, as an Ember Moon, just a complete fucking afterthought. And honestly, and I think it's also an indictment of WWE, because I can't deny what you've said, Ashton. You said something earlier that, as much as I hate it, you know, when you're right, you're right. If it wasn't for Ronda, the women wouldn't have the main event right now. What the fuck does that say about how WWE views the work of a Becky or a Sasha or a Bayley? And even how they've positioned Charlotte, you know? Yep. And I'm very careful with that qualification there. Like,
well, and the thing is, even with Charlotte, if it wasn't for Ronda, the only other woman with any hope of main eventing WrestleMania would be Becky.
Yeah.
Because, like, at least Becky, like you said, Becky is, like, outselling merch on everyone, and she and Ronda are, like, the biggest boosters of ratings as far as, like, quarter hour goes and stuff like that. Like, numbers are in, and Becky is a draw. So even if Ronda is arguably also a draw, Becky right now, as far as the pro wrestling stuff goes, Becky is more provably a draw than Ronda.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I think, guys. I don't know if that rant was worth it, Javaris. I just know I fucking hate Ronda. I can't wait for her to get the fuck out of the business so that Ruby, Kyrie, and other women that I absolutely adore when they're on the main roster can thrive. Io, when she gets called up, I mean, fuck. You think I want to see like Io in catering when she gets called up? And maybe Ronda would even be back by then to do another run.
Yeah, I was even thinking, like, I even said to somebody in the Discord, like, if Rhonda got pregnant, like, a few weeks ago, she would be able to continue being physical without damaging the baby for like another month. Like the first month or two of pregnancy, a lot of the time, the first month, the woman doesn't even know she's pregnant. So,
right.
like the first month or two, you can still like be physical and you can still do stuff like Rhonda does. So she could get to WrestleMania, she could lose her title, and then she could take 7 or 8 months off from the business and return in time for the Royal Rumble. Like that's to me, like that's what, like if she wants to be a mom, that's how you do it right there.
Yeah, absolutely. So you know what?
Because like even if she got pregnant the day after WrestleMania or even the night of WrestleMania, she could still take 9 months off and be back with like 2 weeks before Royal Rumble.
Yeah. Yeah, and Brandon said it best. He said, funny, I said Brandon said it best when it's Brandon best. In the era of Ronda would kill me. Same, friend, same. I hope when Ronda does her second run, any talent that you and I love, they've either been shaken up on the opposite brand or they're just called up to the opposite brand, period. I'm sick and fucking tired of women that I appreciate having to share space with Ronda. As if there's
just make Raw, just make Raw the land of the blondes. Just have Raw be Ronda and Natalia and Charlotte and Alexa and Lana and Mandy and Dana, and just put everyone else on SmackDown.
Yeah,
Raw can keep Nia. Raw can keep Nia and Tamina too.
Oh please. All right, man. So finally, next question, man. What do we got?
We've got 5 questions from Mark Shoneman. First up, what one match would you like to have erased from your memory so that you could rewatch it again with fresh eyes, and why?
I think the first time, and this answer might surprise you, the first time I saw Kenta and Marufuji wrestle. I'd love to experience that again because that was so fucking cool. That was amazing and really showed me what the hype with Kenta was all about. Because with Hideo, obviously all that stuff happened. It was an amazing experience. Would love to relive that again. What about you, though, Ash? I'm really curious about what your answer will be for this. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm actually going to say, like, if we're erasing all of my knowledge of the match away completely, anything that I know about it, the winner, the sequences, the hype surrounding it, everything, my answer is Omega Okada 60-minute time limit draw, because I went into that match knowing that Meltzer gave it 6.5 stars or whatever the fuck, and immediately feeling like, okay, this is going to be long, this is going to be boring, this is going to be overrated. And I wish I could have seen it with fresh eyes, and maybe I would have come away with a more positive conclusion on it than I really did.
Ah, very interesting, man. I like that answer.
So that was from Dominion a couple of years ago. Second question from Mark. Same question, but for movies.
Oh, definitely Whiplash. Oh my God, Whiplash. Yes, I'd love, especially the final. I never know exactly, so like the final 5 minutes. I'll say, because I actually don't know what I'm talking about. The final performance of the movie. Yeah. Oh my God, to experience that for the first time all over again, dude. Goosebumps. Yes. What about you, man? What film would you like to experience like all over again?
Captain America: Civil War.
Nice.
Not Civil War. I'm sorry. Captain America: The Winter Soldier. The big reveal that Hydra has been building inside of S.H.I.E.L.D. Not only was that a huge ripple in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it was also a huge ripple in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it affected everything. And it was like probably one of the greatest cinematic reveals of all time, in my opinion.
Very nice, man. I like that answer.
All right. So up next, let's see. Third question from Mark. If Baron Corbin was a sailor, would we have to call him Seafaring Corbin?
Who asked this question again?
Mark.
Go to your room.
He said the thing, Mark. He said the thing.
But I guess, but still though, go to your room. Seriously, I can't believe I even dignified that with a response. But yeah, what do you think? This question seems like it should have been just for Ash, and he's a hammy motherfucker. He probably would have reveled in this. So what about you? What do you got to say about this?
He's bearing the Sailor Man.
The only reason I'm not telling you to go to your room is I'm not dealing with these remaining questions alone. You stay put.
All right, up next, fourth question from Mark. Is that what you want?
Yes. Yes. Give me what I want.
Oh my God, I love Batista. Batista is like one of the most quotable talkers in the history of like he's more God, I'm trying to well, John, what's the word that means that you're well spoken? Eloquent?
Eloquent, articulate.
Yeah, articulate. He's more articulate Scott Steiner.
Yeah, for sure. As one of my favorite people, Ella, once tweeted, "How can you imagine not loving Batista?" I can't imagine it because it's just horrifying. Yeah, he's too perfect. He told,
I hate you too.
He told Michael Cole, "Get out of my office," and then proceeded to leave his own office. Like, this man is perfection.
Oh my God. You're supposed to be my friend.
Please, Dave. Please, man. Ah!
Little buddy, I'm gonna rip your freaking head off.
What? Oh my God. Long live Batista.
Basketballs don't hold grudges.
Yes. Weapons are not only legal, they're allowed.
Oh my God. I love Batista. Duct tape? Are you serious?
To stoop that low.
I understand. And I quit.
Beauty pageant wave.
God, I miss Blue Tista. I hope we get Blue Tista at Mania. That would be amazing.
Yes.
A perfect way for him to go out. Last match ever at WrestleMania with Triple H. Falls Count Anywhere. Rocking the blue, baby.
Hell yeah.
Not only would that be perfect because Blue Tista has become such a meme, but also because he was best when he was on SmackDown.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Although, slight correction, you said Falls Count Anywhere. That's the Miz and Shane match. Triple H Batista is no holds barred.
No holds barred, right. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want Blue Tista, man. I want Blue Tista at Mania. Fifth and final question from Mark. This is just for Johnny Scumbag. Cut a promo on Jim Ross's stupid "keep politics and race out of the Kofi story" tweet, please.
Oh, God, Jim.
Have you seen this tweet?
I saw it today, actually. I didn't think we were going to talk about it. You know, it's with a heavy heart I do this because, like, I grew up on Jim Ross, man. A lot of my figures that I like are really disappointing me today. It's sad.
Yeah, old people fucking suck, John.
They do. I'm gonna start ranting when whatever's going on in the background for you gets resolved because I'm hearing a lot of scratching and it's distracting me. Are you good over there? Okay, thank you.
I was cleaning my screen. I didn't realize you'd be able to hear it.
Yeah, it was pretty audible. But no, like it's so fucking absent-minded. Like, of course that this is gonna play a part, especially when New Day, like, you know, have mentioned it, and of course, like, after what was done to Booker T 16 years ago, we're going to think about race and stuff like that. And that's only one example. You know, race has been a prominent discussion in wrestling for a long time, given who's been pushed and who hasn't been pushed. So, of course, when we see Kofi this close to an opportunity this huge, and even more so that he might actually win. Again, I'm not going to make any official stances until preview predictions next week. You know, it's going to be a hot button.
That'll be next Saturday, by the way. It's going to be an afternoon recording before we live react to G1 Supercard.
Yeah, guys, next weekend's fucking loaded. So yeah, and especially for those fans, you know, black fans and just, you know, non-white wrestling fans that have been waiting for, you know, a person of another race to like win the world championship, you know, that isn't like Samoan alternatively as well. Like, you know, Nakamura didn't win the WWE championship. I know a lot of people were looking for that.
Yeah, because of fucking gender.
Yeah, fucking gender and just fucking bullshit. You know, and we've just been looking for people to succeed. And, you know, there's been this whole conversation, which is a more nuanced conversation than I can devote right now, but, you know, to representation in other media. And it's a big fucking deal if Kofi wins the WWE championship for fans to look at that and be like, wow, you know, he looks like me, or he shares my experience. Maybe one day I could be WWE champion. And you necessarily have to talk about these things. You can't just, but see, this is what I don't like, because we'll sweep it under the rug. And what I was going to say, the term I was going to use was Jim essentially wants to, like, I don't know, have like a colorblind filter with wrestling storylines when like nothing happens in a vacuum, especially because wrestling is situated in a very society that they're very actively engaged in, by the way, with all their philanthropy, with very high racial tensions and racial issues, and black voices being amplified now, being able to tell their stories. Like, we don't live, as much as we'd like to delude ourselves into thinking otherwise, in a post-racial society, which again, I'm not touching that with a 5-foot pole because it's not a political question. This is a wrestling question. But wrestling is inherently touched by that. It's not separate from that. So, of course, we're going to tell that story. And yeah, Kofi's a talented guy, and race shouldn't have been brought up. But Jim, if you didn't want race brought up, talk to Vince about it. Not fucking people that are discussing it and voicing it and being excited about it, because he screwed Booker T, he screwed other talents along the way. So you're naturally going to make the connection. I don't know. Is Kofi? I'm going to say it, and thankfully you guys have the context, so hopefully nobody like tries to pin this on me. But seriously, like, Vince's thought process is he the right skin tone, to be WWE champion? And more often than not, it's been no. So if Jim's got a fucking problem with it, instead of tweeting about it and being like, oh, I don't like wrestling like this, maybe you could have actively worked to change the culture. I mean, what, you were head of talent relations for how many years? Did you ever fight for those guys in the room?
I'm sure he fought for Shelton Benjamin plenty.
I'm sure he fought for Shelton Benjamin, but see, the funny thing about that is I'm sure that was more because of the collegiate background and everything, and like the relationship that Jim has with the Briscoes. But like, how many times now? Maybe he advocated a lot, and in which case, Jim, thank you, and you did your best. But if he was one of those people that was like, well, I see both sides of the argument, or however it's pointless. It's pointless. And plus, again, he's even said in interviews like, WWE wants to go younger. It's time to walk away. How you may have felt about things in your era when things were hot, the world has changed significantly. I even said with the Booker T thing, the world has changed significantly in the last 16 years, in some ways for the better, in other ways for the worse. But this is an important moment for a lot of fans, and they need to be able to talk about it and experience it in a way that's authentic to just what they've known from wrestling and from their personal reality as a black wrestling fan, or just, again, in general, a non-white wrestling fan. So I think Jim is way off the mark here. Absolutely. But yeah, that's all I got to say about that. We can move on to our next question.
All right, we've got 3 from Iconic Player 1. First up, is torture justified for national security? I say no.
I say no as well. I think it's even been empirically demonstrated to not even work.
It has. Yeah. It's been empirically demonstrated that basically any kind of confession that you could get through torture is completely invalid, because people are willing to say things just to get you to stop, even if it's not true.
Right. Exactly. So that was a quicker question. Let's move on.
Yeah, like, it's been pretty much proven that a person is willing to be kind of like miserable and uncomfortable for a really long time if it means stopping severe and intense immediate pain.
Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely.
Plus, there's also like an element of like irrationality. Like, when someone's in that much pain, then they might not necessarily even be weighing like, oh, if I say this, I'm going to get put away in prison or whatever for however many years. They're just thinking like, end this at all costs.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, second question from Iconic Player 1. If John, as an anarcho-communist, and I, as an anarcho-primitivist, unite, can we provoke the world enough to see a worldwide social class war?
I don't think so, because you being I don't mean this as a joke, but I don't know what your opinion on the internet is. Like, we're both on it right now, and I feel like if we'd want to do that, we would need technology. But admittedly, to be more charitable to your position, because I'm not even that well versed in my own anarcho-communism. Like, I've been meaning to read theory for years. There's just other literature that catches my attention. He asked the question, so I'm going to ask a question. Iconic. How would you describe, in like a small paragraph at least, your anarcho-primitivism? Because I want to know where you stand on shit, because maybe the two of us together could do something. Although I do think, and I've said this to Ashton before, I don't think, how can I put this? I don't think any movement in and of itself, I think a movement can agitate, and I think a movement can raise class consciousness, but we cannot have any hope of like a global class transformation or the establishment of a true communist state. And when I say true, I mean also that a communist state can live by its communist principles because of the asymmetry it shares with the rest of the world. So like, take for example Cuba, right, and Castro. A lot of things went up, literacy, medical care, all that stuff, with the socialist state. The problem was, though, and what the U.S. was able to utilize is because of the economic sanctions on Cuba, because the U.S. was a capitalist state, and any like capitalist neighbors are threatened by the existence of a socialist state. They're going to do economic sanctions. They're going to commit violence against that state, and then the socialist and or communist state in turn would have to adopt those violent tactics to defend itself. So when you hear about like the killing of journalists or this and that in the social, and that's not to justify it, that's fucking wrong, and that's like a human rights violation. But I think they do it because they, do the stuff like, oh, it's so horrible here, this and that, and it just kind of feeds the capitalist narratives. And so it can't live peacefully. It has to become violent, it has to become this. And then obviously that's a circle jerk because then it becomes illegitimate. Like I have expressly, as an anarcho-communist, said that state communism, a lot like we saw it in the Soviet Union, for instance, is a no-go. There are other political systems, we call them tankies, like on the internet, that were like, oh, Stalin and Mao weren't that bad. I disagree. But, the funny thing is, like, it's never going to be able to peacefully exist on its own ideological merits so long as other neighboring capitalist states want to bring it down. And then that feeds into paranoia. And then that's what really makes the experiment a disaster, is the outside pressure and less so kind of internal forces, we'll say. Let's see if Iconic has kind of answered me here. Technology has made us weak and soft. Got to bring the hard life back to these new generation of iPhone lovers and selfie fuckers. So yeah, I mean, I disagree because here's the thing, Iconic, and I just got to be fair, and this is the way I'll answer you. I have to think about my own lived experience as a disabled person. Like, society, for the most part, is very inaccessible to me, where like I'm not going to be able to engage the world meaningfully, politically or otherwise, without the aid of the technology that you speak of, like the iPhones and like the internet and stuff like that. It's because of that I'm able to raise class consciousness in people and organize with people and amplify certain materials. And I think that's the case for a lot of people. So I think it's not so much like dismantling that technology or getting rid of it. It's how can we reorient it less towards capitalist purposes and more towards, quote unquote, revolutionary purposes. I was even kind of talking about this briefly with Ashton. We think about the social function of science. Science in a capitalist paradigm, and a military paradigm of U.S. imperialism can produce atomic bombs, grade A tanks, this and that. They can produce medicines then that big pharma can charge hundreds. Like insulin is obscenely priced today. Whereas the original maker of insulin, he sold the patent for $1 so that the world could have it. So you see how science, and that's the thing, as a methodology, it can try to be objective. I have my own criticisms about that, but that's not what this is about. But we have to recognize that science is always going to be situated in a unique social situation. And to me, science under fully automated luxury kind of communism is going to be infinitely more ethical than science situated in a capitalist society. Because science in a capitalist society is going to be furthering profits and imperialism, whereas science in a socialist state, like in Cuba, is going to be aimed towards education, medicine, and more humanistic and civic ends. So
basically what it comes down to is science under capitalism is focused on the bottom dollar. Science under a more socialist state, or as John's even been saying, communism, is just focused on discovering things that can improve the quality of life.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I think your issue, Iconic, is less with technology, kind of going back to the science issue, and more with the social situation of technology. Because capitalism has co-opted technological advancement, because they've said, like, capitalism to me profits off of selfie culture and this and that. Not that it can't be like irritating to capitalism, but more often than not, it's a very weak irritation. It's not going to cause any structural change overnight. But if we had a technological situation under a more egalitarian society, like, again, I go back to me as a disabled man. If we had more accessibility, I mean, God, that would open up so many avenues and so many new ways of life, which is, to me, one of the fundamental purposes of technology, is to give us a new mode of living that we didn't have previously. But capitalism has co-opted those endeavors for, social media and, again, imperialism and this and that. So I don't think you have a problem with technology in and of itself. I think your criticism is more the social situation of technology, which I would co-sign on to, but there's no reason to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You say technology has made us weak and soft. It's because of technology that some people even have ground to be strong at all. And that's just kind of my argument about it. So again, for me, the communist question really comes down to communism will never be able to triumph so long as it shares an like a communist state shares an asymmetry with capitalist countries, because the communist country will then have to adopt the practices of the capitalist country just to survive. And then it's kind of an ideological betrayal, as I already kind of talked about with like Castro and Stalin and all that. But then again, I'm just one guy. People would tell me to fuck off, like other leftists, and be like, there was no ideological betrayal. It was fucking great. So believe who you want to believe, but that's just me. And then the social situation of science, technology, and really higher education in general. Like, I don't want to just pick on STEM, because it's the humanities too. Humanities is a fucking joke. Academic philosophy today is a fucking joke. Like, I cannot tell you how vindicated I feel each day that I did not pursue that, because it's really, you know what the slogan is in academic philosophy? It's publish or perish. Now you tell me how a field that was originally dedicated to how ought one live and what the good life is, how we go from that to that. Like, capitalism perverts everything. So to go back to your original question, could you and I do anything? No. One, because leftists spiritedly disagree with each other on a lot of things, which I think is healthy. It's discourse, and discourse, I think, builds better praxis. But two, the change that I am looking for, the change that's going to be meaningful, is on a global level. Changing a nation state really doesn't mean shit anymore in 2019 to me, with how global everything's become. If you want any meaningful structural change, it's got to be on a global level, because again,
I mean, I think if it was a large enough country state like the US or Canada, or, like a big one that has enough resources of its own to not be like completely fucked if other countries start using sanctions, like you said, I think it could work. But like these little ones, like, Cuba or whatever, like, I think that's like where a lot of the problem comes from. And I'm sure there are more problems than just that, but in my mind, that's like, like a limited resource problem was a big thing there too.
You know what the answer really would be? Oh God, I wish I could pull this up. Son of a bitch. I can never pull up what I need to when I need to. Okay, let me see if I can find this real quick. Is there a table of contents? Okay, yes, there is. There was an essay. I read a book very recently, and I know I don't normally share titles with you guys because I don't want to bore you, but fuck it. Iconic asked the question. I'm actually enjoying this conversation. Called A Critique of Pure Tolerance. And one of the essays was by a sociologist. This was written back in like the late 60s, early 70s, called Tolerance and the Scientific Outlook. And I actually like their definition of scientific, because it wasn't just science like the physical sciences. It was, God damn it, how did he define it? It was pretty much like anything that can be like verified via argumentation or empiricism. So like sound argumentation, empiricism, like these barometers, like that's scientific. I think if the world had a tolerant scientific outlook, so if we had a world, right, and there was a socialist state established, and there was a dominant scientific outlook of just leaving that country alone and seeing how they would do, and you could empirically demonstrate or just demonstrate by other means the efficacy of a socialist state, that would be good. But then we're talking about fighting a war on ideological grounds rather than material grounds, because then you would want to convince everybody that the scientific outlook, broadly understood, is better than the kind of personal outlook, again, of I got to get mine, profit over people, imperialism. So I think it's both material and ideological. You've got to teach people, or I mean, not teach is the wrong word, but you've got to successfully demonstrate to people to have a broader outlook beyond their current way of living. That's why I'm even critical of democratic socialism, and Ashton knows this. Yeah, you can have a democratically socialist state or a social democracy, but it's not going to matter, because at the end of the day, like, part of why that exists isn't just the wealth distribution in the country from the rich. There's also going to continue being like violent extractions of resources from the third world. Like, I'm trying to think more globally and not just nation state to nation state. And I think there are a lot of ideological and material concerns. And let me just say too, I love you too, Iconic, because I saw your message and I just wanted to address that. And I know you're not trying to be cold, but I really think we would need a more sophisticated and nuanced primitivism and a more substantive criticism of technology beyond, like, what did you say exactly, to use your words? I just feel jaded that humankind has gone past its peak. That's very arbitrary. You know, I would want you to kind of elaborate on what you mean by peak, because I think that's a very arbitrary and nebulous concept. There were probably some people in the 1800s, right? Or whenever the Industrial Revolution took place. All right, gentlemen, well, we've made the automobile, the motion picture camera, and everything else. I feel like we've peaked on progress. People that made the very first computers that were really large, they'd shit themselves if they knew that our iPhones had the same, in fact, far exceeding computing capability of those big computers. A peak is constantly adjusted with each new technological development and each new shift in material conditions. There is no definitive peak of humanity, because so long as we find different configurations of social conditions, different configurations for technological development, ideological developments, etc., 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 there is no definitive peak. So to speak of one, I feel like in a way, and I say this with all due respect because again, I love you too, and this isn't like a hostile debate, but I feel like it's romanticizing the past. And I don't think we should romanticize the future either, for the record. I do want to point that out. But I do think romanticism in general isn't what we need. We need criticism. This is why I read actually an introduction of a leftist that I thought I'd hate, but I actually like. He's a Frenchman named Alain Badiou, Badiou. And he says, like, philosophy's function is to be critical. I even did a thread on this recently. Even if we had fully automated luxury communism, I would still want critical people. Because, and I think this comes from Herbert Marcuse in response to Hegel, we can never get to the point where what is natural, or what is natural is rational. So a lot of people coming up today with how you hear capitalism talked about, they think capitalism is an aspect of nature that's above reproach. It's not. You know, what we need is not romanticism, but critique. I feel like when you use the word peak, we're almost kind of occluding a segment of the past, and we're just separating it from the bigger chain of history, and we're isolating it from critique. I think that is unhealthy for leftist practice. Praxis. Ugh, I've been talking so long, I'm starting to run out of steam.
Yeah, you know what? Take a break. I want to talk to Iconic Player One here for a second, because he just said in chat, in terms of technology, humankind is progressing fast as fuck, but on a physical level, we are just too dependent. I'm not sure what he means by dependent. I'm assuming he means dependent on technology. And I would still strongly disagree with that, because you've also got to remember, like, one of the biggest reasons why humans became such a dominant force and were able to eat basically anything the fuck we wanted is because there are two big reasons. First of all, is our endurance. Humans have the ability to run over distances longer than just about any other land animal in the fucking world. Humans have ridiculous endurance, and the ability to, you know, our ability to sweat also allows us to kind of regenerate our own endurance over time as we're using it. So it basically means that humans can just run and run and run and run, and every other animal would tire out pretty much by the time we were ready to tire out. So, you know, when, you know, humans obviously hunted in packs because, you know, the whole tribal thing, like you say. And the combination of that endurance and our throwing, like, humans have really specially designed wrists, and obviously the ability to stand upright and have the opposable thumbs and all that shit. A human's ability to throw is also unrivaled. So you combine the endurance with the higher intelligence with the ability to throw things, and all of a sudden you've got the ultimate pack hunter. Like, you've literally got a creature. Even if you take away a house and a car and, you know, power tools and all that other shit and a gun, you take all that shit away, and you've still, if you just break it down to the bare bones, you've got a creature that can hunt anything because they're never going to tire out before their prey. They are hunting in a group, so they're going to outnumber whatever it is, and they can throw pointy shit at that thing, so it's really easy for them to kill it without taking damage themselves. So at the end of the day, even if human beings didn't have technology, we would still fucking dominate the planet because of other things that make the human race as dominant as it is. And basically how we got where we are today. Like, humans wouldn't have been able to gain the intelligence that they gained without the ability to basically hunt anything and have pretty much unlimited meat at their disposal. And then, like, the discovery of fire allowed us to cook meat, which is even more nutritious than raw meat. And, like, it kind of, like, from a scientific evolutionary standpoint, it just kind of snowballed from there. Like the ability to eat like pretty much unlimited meat and cooked meat actually increased brain function and brain capacity over time too. So like a human's intelligence is obviously their biggest trait. So even if you want to argue like, oh, humans are pussies, we couldn't take a fucking gorilla one-on-one in a fight. Well, maybe not if a human didn't have any kind of tools or weapons at their disposal. But if you give a human the access to some sticks and some stones, they can handcraft themselves a fucking spear and kill the shit out of that gorilla easily. So like, you can't just say everything's in a vacuum and a human couldn't take a fucking rhinoceros or an elephant or a lion down by themselves, because we don't need to, and we haven't needed to in millions of years, because humans have been pack hunters since we became something that you might mildly recognize as vaguely human. Like that's the thing is we are social creatures, and we pretty much always have been, and that's a huge advantage in the animal kingdom. And that's a big reason why this whole quote unquote dependence on technology is completely superfluous and redundant and unnecessary, and not something that we're actually quote unquote dependent on so much as we have more of like a really like it and like having it and want it but don't need it kind of situation. Like people think they need it, but they really don't. It's just a massive luxury that grants us the ability to do things that was never before thought possible. So John, I'll hand it back over to you now.
All right, then. Thank you for giving me that respite, because now I feel like I'm ready to go again. But yeah, just to continue, because I'm the more philosophical side of the two, obviously. I remember an interview that French philosopher Bernard Stiegler gave on technology, and he said that human beings, and this goes back to like ancient Greece, they're naturally like a technological animal. Like Ashton said something very interesting when I was hearing him talk. Like he said, when like you make the spear to kill the gorilla. Spear is a type of technology. Like we also need to broaden our definition of technology. Yeah. Exactly, because a pencil is technology. A calculator is technology. Like that's the thing. Human beings are innately, what's the Greek term? I'm not going to bother thinking of the Greek term, but they're not inherently technologically making animals. They make technology innately. Like that's just a function they have. Probably does again have evolutionary roots. Yeah, it's not technophiles, the Greek word, but we'll use that. I'm just going to jump on that and use that. But I want to, Ella said I could probably take on an elephant. I just don't want to show off. I believe that, Ella. You're a fucking beast. But I do want to address, too, because, again, this is something I'm concerned about. But like Hypothesis said, like, oh, we probably hit the peak the way the Romans did. I find that language uncomfortable, right? Because I feel like that's a few degrees removed from like how a lot of fascists think when they romanticize the past and they romanticize antiquity.
Yeah, and I even had that thought too, like this idea that like this is how nature works and we should strive to be more like that is like a very common thought process that I notice. And I've also even considered it myself, like, like with diet. I think diet is a great example of it too, because everyone talks about how, like, if we eat what our ancestors ate, we would eat nothing but like meat and things that come off of like trees and bushes and out of the ground, like trees and like veggies and fruits, that kind of stuff. And like, yeah, there are definitely like health benefits to doing that. I'm not trying to deny that. And especially if you go like full blown plant-based diet, I think that there are definite benefits to that too. And I've even seen like, there are a lot of health issues today that would pretty much go away completely if everyone went plant-based. But on that same note, I think that we need to focus less on where we came from and more set a goal to where we want to be. I think that we shouldn't say, stop eating meat because you're getting, heart disease or whatever the hell. I think we should be saying like, eat whatever the fuck you want and let's find a way to solve the problems that come of it. I think that rather than saying like, oh, we're too dependent on technology, we need to go back to our roots, we should be saying like, oh, how can we use technology to be better than we've ever been? Rather than saying like, oh, like a common thing that you'll see from like the Christian, like right-wing Christian types is, oh, being gay, that ain't natural. Well, first of all, I mean, there are examples of animals that have shown examples of people of animals being gay, but that shouldn't even matter, because our goal shouldn't be to be like the animal kingdom. Our goal should be basically to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. And if a person is gay and you can't accept that because you don't think, even though it's incorrect, it occurs in nature, that should be your problem, not theirs. So,
and just oh no, sorry, finish, because I was going to tag back in, but
no, I was just gonna say, like, I just feel like I've seen this kind of logic come up a lot, where someone's like, we need to go back to our roots. We need to be more like the animal kingdom. We need to, this, that, whatever. And to me, anytime I think of that, it's like, I see the attractiveness in that idea, but I feel like we should be running in the other direction. I feel like we should be acknowledging our past and maybe appreciating and that kind of thing with the past, but we need to have forward thinking goals, and we need to figure out ways to achieve those goals. Because, like, if we focus too much on just trying to be like we've been in the past, we're never going to make any kind of progress, and that's not good at all.
And see, now I'm going to tag back in here.
Yeah.
Because, okay, here's the thing, too. And I want to just focus on the kind of language that both Hypothesis and Iconic have used. And I'm not trying to put you guys in a corner. I'm just saying, like, the words, like, matter here. Because it's like, for example, when Iconic said, technology has made us weak. Like, that is something he said. What's interesting to me, because we've got, and again, I'm the more philosophy guy, so you got the scientific perspective from Ash, and this is the philosophy perspective from me. In ancient Greece, like ancient philosophy and medieval philosophy, it was very concerned with the essence of human nature, like what is the human. The advent of liberalism and technological advancement kind of liberated the concept of man. Like, man was a self-defining being. There was no essence. If anything, man's essence was freedom. That was the notion of French philosopher Sartre. Man is a free creature. Existence precedes essence. This was in challenge to the religious thought that, human beings are imbued with an essence. No, you create your own essence. And technology, I think, went hand in hand. That's another thing, too. When we say things don't occur in a vacuum, when I say the social situation of technology, that's like politics, and that's things like that, because, the advent, again, of liberalism and things like that. Technology aided in the human project of humans are free and sovereign of their own destiny, go forward and do all this stuff. But the most interesting thing, and then I'm finally going to punctuate this, and I enjoyed this far more than I thought I would, and see, this is what happens when you guys rile me up, and this is why I don't like talking philosophy, because I don't shut the fuck up. But I have to say it. When you say technology has made us weak, you've hit upon a problem that I've been contemplating a lot lately, and it goes back to the thought of philosopher Leo Strauss, who I still have to read this essay because I only read the first half. I never finished it. Progress or return. Now, he says we can never return. Return is impossible. Human beings, naturally, we progress. The problem with that, in his mind, is it kind of goes back to a problem in philosophy called the fact-value distinction. And you can pretty much substitute the word value for virtue. We accrue a lot of facts, but do those facts make us more virtuous? Again, it goes back to something I said to Ashton once. We briefly talked about it. We have the facts to make an atomic bomb, but do we have the virtue to accompany those facts of whether or not to use it? Now, obviously, that's been like a big raging debate. I don't really care to unpack that here, but it's more, with all the technological advancements we make, have we become better people because of those advancements? Now, it also depends on what you value. Iconic, with his language, I'm not saying it's the only thing he values, but he clearly values, like, strength and stuff like that. He wants human beings to be more resilient. In his mind, technology might not have aided in that ever. But if I value community and cosmopolitanism, being a citizen of the world, has technology made me, has made society better with that value, the cosmopolitan value? I would have unquestionably, yes. Yes. So I think the fact value question is important. And I do think Strauss raises a great point. Like, just because it's progress doesn't inherently make it good, because we also have to think about what value parameters we're working with. But that doesn't mean we can return, because when you try and return, that's when you get fascism. Again, this romanticizing, this glorification of past art, past societies, past peoples of that nation. The Germans invented the whole concept of, like, the Aryan race, right? And, like, so it's always wearisome to me when people call for return, because it's always a return to what? And that X is really fucking significant. But I do also think, and this is why I don't really like the transhumanists, for the record, because, movements like that, they're all about the progress, right? And they really fetishize technological development. Somebody like me with a disability kind of scares me a little bit because it's like, what exactly are you trying to create? What exactly do you hope to do with this technology? So I absolutely think there is an ethical and political component, but the answer isn't to retreat to the past. It's to be more critical in the present. And I think you just got to find that balance. So I named a lot of philosophers, a lot of philosophy. The viewers, actually, they went up a little bit again. Thank God. So I'm going to end it here. I hope to never talk philosophy on here again because I wasted a lot of time. But I'm glad we had this discussion, though. I feel like I had fun. So I hope you guys had fun, and we can finally move on to our next question. So,
all right, third and final question from Iconic Player 1. Create a TWitWoW tag team tournament of 8 teams consisting of...
Oh God, I get done that fucking dissertation and then this is our question. Okay, so I guess you go first on this one. Let's do it. Let's do it. So what's our tournament?
Oh, you know what? Let's do this. Let's make this easier on ourselves, and we'll double team this. You pick 4 teams, I'll pick 4 teams, and we'll just kind of use those as our brackets. All right. You can have your side of the bracket, I'll have my side of the bracket, that kind of thing. All right.
Okay, so this is a tag team tournament. Were there any because I only heard the first part of the question because I couldn't hold back my laughter. Were there
Create
any,
a TWitWoW tag team tournament of 8 teams consisting of the Scum Squad.
Oh, the Scum Squad. Okay. I'm gonna put you and Foster together.
Okay.
So Alex and Ashton is my first team. I'm gonna put.
Wait. Let's go back and forth.
Okay, you go next.
Yeah, it's not fair if you get to choose 8 people off the top and you got to leave me with the other 8.
All right.
It's just going to get more and more difficult as we go. So you're putting me with Foster. Guys in chat, by the way, anyone in chat, you guys can be responsible for naming these teams because I'm really curious to see what you all come up with for the team names. So I'm with Foster. Since you immediately used me, I'm going to use you, and I am going to stick you with Abel.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, I am going to stick. I'm gonna stick Ella and Javaris.
Can I make a suggestion? Actually,
sure. Who do you got?
Can we put Foster with Sal so that they have like the perfect hair team, and then you can find someone else for me?
I really like.
Or would you really prefer me with Foster? Because I'm cool either way. I just thought like if we're gonna go with teams that have like that team comprehension, that team unity, that team chemistry,
I'd really prefer
guys together.
I'd really prefer you with Foster, but we'll go Foster and Sal. I'll indulge you.
I mean, I've got pretty fucking great hair too, to be fair, but I just never show it off.
I just put you and Foster together because like he clearly like he loves you and like you clearly like have an affinity for each other.
You're awesome, Foster. I'm not trying to get rid of you. I just was trying to make a more logical team. I'm sorry if you're offended by this.
No, I don't think he is. He's good people. He knows that. But I think I'll put him and stuff together. But that really does make me like struggle with who to put you with. I mean, you're already putting me with Abel. Otherwise, I would just say we could be a team together and just fucking bully the shit out of these people. But you know what?
That'd be OP. We totally win the tournament together.
Dude, right? We deserve to be pushed.
I mean, not only are we just better than everyone else, but also we have the pencil.
Oh, Foster is hurt, so no, I'm gonna keep you two together because I think he really liked the idea of teaming with you. So
okay, we're gonna be a good team, Foster. I've got good hair too. You'll see.
Yeah, and I'm gonna put Ella and Javaris together for the Strange Bedfellows team. That's like the Angle and Benoit of wanting to kill each other. So who's your next team?
Oh, Jesus. Wow. Let's see. Ella wanted to be put with Stream TV 1.
Nope.
That's too good. Let's see. They seem to kind of agree on some stuff earlier, so I'll put Iconic with Hypothesis.
Oh, nice. I actually like that combination. I am going. You know what? People keep mentioning Cliff.
Ooh, I have a really good team in mind. Go.
Okay. I'm just gonna put Brandon together with Cliff since people keep mentioning Cliff, and I know they do TPA like that whole thing together. So yeah. I'll put those two together. Who's your team?
Aaron Kuyanga and Jackie, because they're both the knowledge bomb droppers of chat.
Yes, dude, I love it. Do I have any more teams, or do you have any more teams, or are we done?
We both have one team left.
Ooh, one team left. I can't waste this. God, Sal really is beautiful. You mentioning him, I realized I have to put him with somebody. Sal, And unfortunately, he can't take me because I'm with Abel, and me and Abel, it's just
Have you
hugs
used
all the time.
Brandon in a team yet?
I just put him with Cliff, remember, because they do the.
Oh, that's right.
They
Yeah,
do
that's
their whole
right.
thing
Yeah,
together.
yeah,
You know what? I am gonna put Sal and Mark Schoeneman together. I like
yeah.
that.
Okay.
I feel like that can work. So yeah, Sal and Mark Schoeneman together for my final team. Who's your final team?
My final team is going to be Super Blue and the Chiefin, the two like other Scum Squad Rainmakers, the guys that are constantly loading our faces with requests through Patreon.
Nice. I like it. All right. Oh, well, now we have to decide a winner of the tournament, right? Or no?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, did you want to like stair step and like pick like who would win each match, or do you just want to have just a winner?
I mean, I'd probably have you and Alex, and then who is my other team? Brandon and Cliff in the finals, and then I'd probably have you and Foster go over. Like, I don't know, you seem like a strong-willed team. I mean, you definitely, you ain't doing the job. Jobs are for marks, and then Foster.
I would
mean,
have like a short list of people I would be willing to eat the pinfall for, and that's it.
And like, you know what my finisher is? The pencil. Get erased. So yeah, I think I just have you and Foster win the whole thing. Fuck it. So who do you have like I guess just winning your tournament here?
Um, I mean, God, I think I would want Iconic and Hypothesis to be like the heel team and run through their whole side of the bracket, and then they would get overcome by you and Abel.
Oh, that'd be amazing because they trash talk each team. That's what you get for spending too much time on Instagram, trash. Bah! And then it's just finally them versus me and Abel. I like that dynamic.
And you and Abel just overwhelm them with wonderfulness and positivity.
I know. Oh my God, Abel, if you're listening to this, I love you so much. Oh my God. All right. So that sounds
He really does bring that out of you. He's like the non-wrestler version of Kyrie and Juice.
Dude, he's just so fucking pure. Like, legitimately, I never want anything bad to happen to him ever. And if it does, I'll kill someone. I'll kill
I wish we
whoever
could have
caused
had
the
more than
place.
8 teams though, because I feel bad for leaving some people out.
Yeah, that's true. We should have, like, oh, God.
Like I wanted there to be like a brother sister team with Ace and Stella, although Stella hasn't really been around lately.
Yeah, hopefully, Ace, if you hear this, give Stella our regards because she's always wonderful when she's around. It's just we haven't seen her in a minute.
And it would have been nice to be able to fit like Rotten Butter on a team and Chris Venegas.
Yeah, Chris Venegas. Oh, you know what, dude? There would be like 2 other people I'd be willing to tag with outside of Abel. Well, actually 3 because you obviously, Sal and Kim Yamoto. If we're talking about people we could put in a tournament, me and Kim Yamoto would be delicious. So yeah, a lot of people unfortunately left off, but again, my mind immediately goes to like TWitWoW regulars and not just the most like colorful people like when they do show up. And yeah, so.
All right. I think we can move on. Up next, we've got 5 questions from Chris Venegas. First up, for me, Adam Cole has decided to become a Pokemon trainer. Which Pokemon should he have in his undisputed team? 6 Arceus. Next question.
All right.
John, you didn't get the joke, did you?
No, I didn't.
Arceus is the god Pokemon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, dude, I've been out of the Pokemon loop for so fucking long. Like, yeah, that went way over my head.
Yeah, Arceus is the literal god, like the creator Pokemon. Like he is the one that was responsible for the creation of all Pokemon.
Oh wow, that's really fucking heavy. I didn't know we were going that deep into the mythology. Shit.
But that's why Adam Cole gets 6 of them, even though there's only supposed to be 1 in the world. Fuck it, Adam Cole uses dupe glitches, bitches.
All right. Well, next question.
I mean, if it wouldn't have been 6 Arceus, it would have just been 6 different legendaries to represent Adam Cole's legend status.
But do I really want to ask this question and die on this hill?
Yes.
I think I do. Would Adam Cole be talented enough to even tame those Pokemon?
You don't really need to be talented to catch a Pokemon, let's be real.
I mean, but like we know that
John, Ash Ketchum is good at this. He's good at nothing, but he's good at catching Pokemon, okay?
I'm just really, saying, like
the bar isn't high.
Like in the show, I can't even believe I'm debating this, and I don't even know why I'm doing it. Like we just know in the show, Ash had trouble to get his Charizard to behave a lot of the time. Like, is Adam Cole even good enough?
Oh, yeah. That's because
that's
because if you don't have a certain amount of badges, Pokemon over a certain level won't obey your commands. But Adam Cole probably has like 64 badges, so who cares?
But how do we? Is he talented enough to get those badges though? Like, how do we know?
I mean, if he has an Arceus, obviously, yeah.
I mean, you know what? I'm just gonna let you have it. I'm just gonna let you have it. All right, next question.
Adam Cole was born with 8 badges, okay?
I mean, you can't just be awarded badges right out of the womb. What about the journey?
No, he wasn't just awarded them. He earned them. His birth was so fucking spectacular that in the same way that Ash using the sprinklers on Brock just randomly decided, oh, hey, you didn't really beat me, but here's a badge anyway. Adam Cole's birth was that fucking spectacular that he literally earned 8 badges in his birth.
I'm just gonna say, I'm low-key terrified what your preachings are gonna do in the future. I'm telling you, we're gonna get a fan on here. I was so inspired hearing Ashton talk about Adam Cole. I officially started a religion. And then, rather than like, I don't know, extinguish that immediately, you'll just
I would be like, good, he deserves one.
You'll just be like, yeah, it's all coming together.
Actually, no, I would be offended that anyone thinks that they started, in hard quotes, anything involving that which is praising Adam Cole other than myself.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
You're not allowed to say you started a religion when obviously I've been preaching this shit for years now.
I am so ready for the next question. My butthole is at maximum tightness, guys. So let's do it.
Second question from Chris is just for you, John. What would hurt more? Speaking of your butthole being clenched, Kyrie getting a Ciampa-esque betrayal from Io, or Johnny Mundo Impact Morrison, whatever you want to call him, returning to WWE only to have to cut weight and be on 205 Live.
Oh, don't do that to me. Oh my God, this Q&A has been something. How many questions do we have left after this? Because I don't know if I'm going to make it.
10, maybe? 15, 10, 12, maybe?
Oh God. It sounds small, but I know how we go on these. You know what? You know what? I would say the 205 Live thing, because that would
be less painful, or would it hurt more?
It would hurt more, I'm saying. Okay. So like the EO, because like everybody's seeing the EO Betrayal coming, and it would be a fucking amazing storyline. So like in terms of wrestling content, yeah, but like if Mundo's on 205 Live,
right? But I think he's more talking about like in the moment having to watch Kyrie get done to her. What?
No. Oh, it hurts. It really hurts. Why don't you do that, EO? Why are you such a shit friend? Man, fuck you for supporting EO too. You and your face.
You keep forgetting her on Twitter, and it's triggering me.
You know what, Ashton? Maybe that's because she's forgettable. I'm sorry. I feel like the room is at a 12, and we should all take it down to at least an 8 right now. But no, though, seriously, if EO betrays Kyrie, I'm sticking by it. But no, I just remember the look on Kyrie's face when she was being bullied by Riot Squad and then EO saved her. Just imagine the look on her face if she knew EO was the one doing the bullying. Oh my God. She might have irreparably damaged Kyrie's trust and love in other people. Oh my God. No, that would hurt more. It'd be okay. I'd get over Johnny being on 205 Live. I would just hope that it'd be another Mustafa. My heart can't take it. I can't do it. Oh man. All right. Oh, and Mark Schoen pointing out, because he's behind, he says jobs are for marks, and he says that I say that after him and Sal are eliminated in round 1. Thank you, Mark. But yeah, I think the Kyrie thing would hurt a lot more. I can't bear the look of sadness on her face. God, we need to cut to the next question before I feel anything else. This is weird.
God, just imagine EO beating her down in the ring, and then as she walks away, the look on Kyrie's face.
Don't rub it in, you asshole.
It hasn't even happened. It's imaginary.
It hurts, okay? You're hurting me right now.
Okay, we'll move on. Third question from Chris. What kind of outfit do you think Velveteen Dream will wear for TakeOver New York?
What's the word I'm looking for? Kind of outfit?
I hope he does another MMA-inspired gear because of Riddle.
A flamboyant one, because he knows New York is the city of lights and it's gonna be festive as fuck. Yeah.
There
So
you go.
what? Yeah, there you go. Next question.
Excuse me. Next question. Fourth question from Chris. Can you give a eulogy for Pete Dunne's chest before his match with Walter?
I will not. Pete Dunne will be just fine. He's Peter Dune.
Just his
Okay.
chest.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna hurt a lot, and we hardly knew ye, and I guess it did things. It was a part of poses and shit, but I hope he's not gonna be missing any blood capillary, any like capillaries, because they're all gonna be fucking popped by the time Walter gets done with them. So I guess that's the extent of my eulogy, because Walter's gonna fuck him up, but Pete Dunne will fuck
So
up
your
Walter
eulogy
back.
isn't for his entire chest. It's just for the capillaries that are definitely going to be broken.
Yeah, exactly. Like there is gonna be blood all over that chest, and he might even change the configuration of it. Who even knows? But Pete Dunne will fight back. He'll be fine.
About to give Dunn a fucking Kofi chest caved in.
Oh my god. I was thinking it, but then you actually said it. What? All right. You have anything you want to say to this?
No. Fifth and final question from Chris. Pull the string on the Johnny Scumbag toy, and it says,
Fuck all of you. Let's see here. Pull the string. Rhonda eats shit. There we go. That's the phrase I'm feeling very comfortable with today, since I've been railing on Rhonda for most of the Q&A. So
but is that
that'll be
really a Johnny Scumbag thing to say?
Well, you know what the quintessential Johnny
It's
Scumbag thing
kind
to
of
say
a
is?
scumbag herself.
Well, yeah, that's true. The Johnny Scumbag thing to say if you pulled the string would be, you failed!
There you go. That's the winner, I think. There you go. Good one.
Next question.
We did have a new question asker this month, unless it's just somebody else that we're familiar with that just changed their username. But Gene Snitsky fan on YouTube.
Oh, dear God.
First question, repackage Shane Thorne from scratch. New name, although if you want, you can keep the Thorne part of his name. New finisher, new look, new theme, and for the love of God, new gimmick.
I guess for alliteration, maybe something like Tommy Thorne, or just something with a T for the first name, like if I wanted to kind of tinker with that.
It's so funny because when I first thought like, oh, what would be a good first name? I was thinking Eobard Thorne because there's a character in Flash named Eobard Thawne. I was like, oh, well, that's probably not the greatest idea to just basically fucking steal and take it from another medium. But yeah, that was what came through my mind when I first tried to think of a new first name.
Foster says he already loves this new person because they appreciate Shane Thorne. So yeah, I guess I'd go Tommy Thorne, even though I admit that that's definitely like card subject to change because that's corny as hell. Theme, I don't know, because then I have to think about the gimmick. I have to work backward. Like before we get the theme, we have to think of the gimmick. Fuck. Let me Google what Shane Thorne looks like just so I can get a visual.
You know what? I think I have an idea.
You know what? Yeah, you give your idea while I'm kind of putting mine together.
Dude, Shane Thorne's actual real name is Shane Verizor.
Oh, wow.
I'm just calling him Verizor. That's an amazing wrestling name.
Oh, yeah, it is.
That's really cool. Coming to the ring, weighing in at 225 pounds from Perth, Australia, Verizor. That's cool as hell. I love that last name. So yeah, we're just going to call him Verizor. That's a badass name. He's going to grow his hair out. He's going to have the same long hair that he had in the TM61 return videos. And he's going to be a member of the Insiders. Or better yet, we're going to repackage the Insiders. Do you know who the Insiders are, but John?
No.
Okay, it's him, Brennan Williams, who you know from Rollout, and Mansoor. You know who Mansoor is, right?
Yeah, I'm vaguely familiar with Mansoor.
Okay, so it's the three of them, but instead of the Insiders, new name, Fresh Afternoon. Fuck it all.
I can see you definitely were inspired by the new Daniel Bryan. Yeah, okay, so I'm looking at Shane Thorne. I definitely like the longer hair, so I'm gonna agree with you on that. I think fucking hell. I don't even really know what to do.
Hell, he could grow his beard out and be a member of Forgotten Sons.
I was almost thinking that, honestly, because we really haven't even seen him in a minute. I'd say long hair. I guess like a generic rock theme because it's CFO, so they just need to find a good sound and then loop it for 5 minutes. And then,
oh God, the dystopian of that statement.
And then you know what? I think I would almost like have it be an ironic gimmick in the sense that like he's done Japan and he's done all that, and there's always the stigma of like, oh, the indie guy that's done Japan. And yet, like, I would have him have a really inflated ego about it, even though he has nowhere the notoriety of a Samoa Joe or an AJ Styles or those guys, but he thinks he does. So,
Oh,
like,
so almost like what Bo Dallas was doing, where it was like, maybe one day you can be as good as me, kid, except like almost like with a tiny smidge of sincerity to it.
yeah, because it's like an indie egoism. It's not even like, oh, I'm a hero or anything. No, he just thinks he's really good shit because he came from, like, he owns coming from the indies in the most obnoxious way. And it's just
Yeah,
ironic because he's
yeah,
not even
like
nearly
I
the biggest
paid my
name.
dues the right way. That kind of
Exactly, except that well, I shouldn't say genius because that's masturbatory, but like the irony of the gimmick is that like he's not even close to one of the biggest names to come out of the indies,
yeah.
and yet
And
like
like
he
you
owns
could
it.
even have him like be like talking down and condescending to like guys that have been in the business even longer than him, but because they weren't in the indies, he still looks down on them, like fucking Orton.
Yeah, exactly.
Walks up to Orton and is just like, "Hey there, kid, how you doing?"
Yeah, exactly. And even to other indie guys, you'd be like, yeah, that's great and all, but have you ever been to Japan? Because it'll change your life. Like that kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah. That's the gimmick.
That's great. You put
That
way more effort into yours than mine, but because of that, yours is way better than mine.
I can't believe, and I didn't even pre-prepare for this. So this is actually a meaningful win. I'd like to thank myself for being so fucking awesome. Next question.
Yeah. All right. That was great. I really enjoyed that. Second question from Gene Snitsky fan. Rank Shield and Wyatt family members in terms of attractiveness from 6 to 1. Personality doesn't count, looks only. And I'm assuming that like 6 here is the most attractive, with 1 being the least attractive.
Well, can I just say, Seth is a snack, so he's immediately a
Seth is
6.
definitely 6 for sure. Roman is probably 2. Or I'm sorry, 5. It would be 5.
5, and then Ambrose is like the 2.
Yeah, wait. The 2? Like, you think Ambrose is the second least attractive of the guys?
Well, I think well, wait. We said 6 is the most attractive, right? And then going downwards. So I'm giving him a numerical value of a 2. So like he's the least attractive guy in the Shield to me.
So the second least. So who would be 1 then?
Wait. Okay, let's restart here. Seth is the most attractive guy in the Shield at a 6 because we said 6 is the highest.
Right.
Roman comes after that. Then I'm saying Dean comes in last. And I thought I heard you give Roman a 5. So maybe you're just asking me what I give Roman. I agreed with you on the 5. And then I'm giving Dean a 2, coming in, making him come in dead last. Like he's not a 1, but
how are you going from 5 to 2?
Because Roman's a 5 and Dean's a 2. I don't know why we're getting our wires crossed like this. I'm saying Seth's.
We're ranking Shield members and Wyatt family members.
Oh, at the same time, I thought we were doing like different sets of like first Shield and then Wyatt.
And we're not. It's not like scale of 1 to 6. It's like 6 is the most attractive, then 5th is the second most attractive, then 4, then 3, then 2.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know we were doing it all together. Okay, now I understand. See, now I understand because I was like, what? Okay, so Seth, I'm still keeping it first. Then Roman in second. Then if we're mixing in Wyatt family, I'd say
I'd probably put Harper ahead of Ambrose.
I would too. I would too.
Then Ambrose, then Bray, then Rowan.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That's right. Okay.
And this guy, or I shouldn't even say this guy. It could be a female too. But Gene Snitsky fan even said, "Poor Rowan will probably be 6th place." Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. All right, next question.
I'm sure Ella is super triggered right now.
Yeah.
Third and final question from Gene Snitsky fan. Thoughts on Samuel Shaw as a talent and whether or not he can be in a similar position to Elias if booked properly?
I mean, I guess he's all right. I saw his stuff in TNA and it really wasn't that like impressionable. Like it really didn't leave an impact, pun intended, on me. I mean, here's the thing that I've learned about WWE. There are talents that I could hate that catch on like fucking wildfire because of their positioning. I mean, the case, Charlotte Flair. So, if they would really get behind him, the image that they could create for a Samuel Shaw, I think could far exceed the actual talent. Because, I mean, I'm just going to be that guy, right? I'm going to be the stereotypical internet critic. I don't think Samuel Shaw's talented at all. And then watch, he'll go and he'll at least win like a mid-card championship or something. But yeah, I really don't see anything there. Did the question say something about like him being on the level of Elias? Because I heard Elias.
Yeah. Basically, do you think he can be in a similar position to Elias if booked properly? I think,
Sure, because Elias is doing shit right now
exactly.
too, so that's actually perfect. Yeah, well, Elias is
Yeah.
doing fuck all right now. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's actually a pretty perfect bar to set. It's tragic, but it's true. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Like I think from a pure like prospect perspective, like who has more talent, who has more upside, Elias absolutely blows Samuel Shaw out of the water because like not only A, does he have a better look, B, I think it's pretty easy to see that he's more charismatic. C, I prefer his in-ring style, but then also D, he's like 4 years younger.
right.
Yeah, like Elias is only 31 years old and he just turned 31 and Samuel Shaw just turned 35. So Shaw literally just getting in WWE at 35 years old. And then like there are no real qualities about him that make him stand out. Like to me, he was one of the rare instances where TNA genuinely went out of their way to make a character an effective character. Like they really, I feel like the way that they kind of used him and the promos that they let him cut and the segments that they had him in and stuff like that made for a compelling character. They just never really capitalized on it. They never really did anything with it. Like they never took it anywhere. I don't think
Right.
he's going to go the same direction with him though. I think he's going to be much more of like a faceless vanilla nobody in WWE.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with you there. I would absolutely agree with you there.
So that's kind of where I'm coming from there. All right. Next, we've got 4 questions from Ella. First up, just for me actually, who are your early predictions to win each NFL division? Well, let's see. We'll just start in the NFC. NFC North. I'm gonna say Green Bay. Actually, you know what? I want to check and see who their OC is because I don't think they have a good OC, do they? That kind of sucks, doesn't it? Yeah, no. I'm gonna say it's gonna be Chicago again for the NFC North. NFC East, probably still Philadelphia, maybe Dallas, but I'm gonna just lock in Philly. NFC South, New Orleans. NFC West, obviously LA Rams. We'll stick with them. Although I, low key kind of hoping the Niners catch up to them. Just, I'm a big fan of Kyle Shanahan. AFC North Browns, AFC East Patriots, unfortunately. Although I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets gave them a run for their money this year. The Jets might go like 10-6 this year. AFC South, probably still the Colts. And then AFC West, obviously Chiefs. I'll stick with them. So there you go. So we had Bears, Cowboys, Saints, Rams, Browns, Pats, Colts, Chiefs. So those are my division winners. Second question from Ella is for both of us, John. Thoughts on the Big Show?
I think Big Show's been a very reliable hand for the company for a lot of years, and I feel like one mistake they made with him, long term, because you never know how different his career would have been if they would have gone this route. I think, especially when he was the Giant and he was really in shape and really had his athleticism,
That was in WCW.
that was in WCW, but also early in his WWF run, like when he became the Big Show, but still retained that athleticism and that look.
Yeah.
I think they should have made him more of an attraction rather than a regular. You probably could have gotten a lot more mileage out of him that way. But what's done is done. I do feel like sometimes I and others may have been maybe a little bit too harsh, telling him, please retire and this and that when he's been a great ambassador for the company. And yeah, I think he was definitely one of those standouts for his size and what he could do with it. He wasn't even always a bad character. There were some iterations of Big Show I obviously enjoyed more than others. But yeah, on the whole, no hate. The guy had a long career for a reason. And honestly, I was even watching some old Big Show footage when he was ECW champion. I actually agree with some people that I think that reign, as far as WWE CW is concerned, is actually kind of underrated by some fans. Because I remember Big Show taking on all comers and just being a dominant heel that didn't even
because I'm a giant.
Well, yeah, essentially, like he was a giant, and you couldn't even really cheat because most of his title defenses were Extreme Rules anyway. So this is a guy falling in thumbtacks, getting hit with kendo sticks, getting put through tables, and he would just keep retaining. Like he was a genuine obstacle at the time of ECW, and like the first big heel ECW champion because he beat Rob Van Dam for the title after Van Dam got screwed by Heyman. And then had to serve a 30-day suspension. So Big Show had a lot of responsibility on his shoulders, which we can make a joke about his size, but I won't. Because Rob was the guy. he was finally getting the big push that so many of his fans, myself included, thought that he deserved. And then he goes and he, screws it up with the drug violation, which you could also blame on, drug laws and stuff like that. But we already had one big social commentary. I'm not looking for two. And I think Big Show carried that very well. I think he handled that responsibility and that pressure very well. And if anything, I actually, just focusing on that one segment of his career, I actually feel bad for him. Because I feel like he got done dirty at the end of his reign because they were so concerned with putting fucking Bobby Lashley over. So, yeah, I think he's had a great career. So, what about you, Ashton?
Yeah, I have pretty similar thoughts. He's always been that guy who's pretty much willing to do anything for the company. Like, he went out there in a fucking diaper at WrestleMania and wrestled Yoko. Or not, was it Yoko? No, it wasn't Yoko. It was Akibono. That's who it was.
Yeah, Akibono, yeah.
From what I understand, that was actually like a big thing that got Akibono into the wrestling business, and he's still like a wrestler to this day, from what I understand.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He did the Mayweather match. That was huge. It seems like he was WWE's kind of go-to guy for those like special attraction matches for a while. But yeah, like his, back in the day, he was an awesome athlete, and even today, like we've seen that if you give him the right dance partner, and in recent years, it's pretty much just been either Braun or like Mark Henry. He can still put on good matches, which is really impressive. So yeah, that was show. It's just one of those situations where I wish, how do I put this? I wish WWE would have started treating him like a special attraction sooner rather than continuing to use him as like a full-time guy and have him on every fucking episode of Raw, because it got really easy to hate him and really easy to get tired of him even when he wasn't a heel, which was about half the time.
Yeah, that's definitely agreeable to me. I can definitely understand where you're coming from there. So yeah, next question.
Third question from Ella. It's just for me again. Have you watched AAF at all? And if so, what are your thoughts? I watched clips from one game, and I don't even remember what game it was, but it was like a 40-7 blowout from week one. And I kind of realized like it's basically just a worse version of watching the NFL. Like the quarterbacks are worse, the tackling is like everyone's just kind of worse. And like from a pure like ethical and moral perspective, I think it's really fucked up that these guys are out there basically playing NFL style football and putting their bodies through the same kind of hell that they would put themselves through if they were in the NFL for a fraction of the cost. Like the vet minimum in the NFL is like 350 or 450 grand. And from what I understand, everybody in the AAF makes 75 grand, and that's it. And
Damn.
I mean, obviously you would hope that like health coverage would be provided and all that shit, but that's only provided while you're still providing value for the league. Like your health care might be a part of your contract, but they're not going to have your back in 20 years when fucking CTE comes a calling, like
Yeah, for sure.
and 75 grand a year is not enough to make that worth it in my eyes. And like and the thing is too, like obviously these guys have their own um God, I don't know what the word is. They make their own decisions. Basically, they're able to consciously make their own decisions. So obviously, I'm not trying to make the decisions for them. I just wish that this wasn't even like an opportunity out there, because at the end of the day, your brain health and your life shouldn't be able to be bought for 75 grand a year. Like that's ridiculous to me. So and the thing is too, like it's also like people are saying like, oh, it's going to be like a developmental league for the NFL. Well, I guess for quarterbacks maybe, but like if you play any position whose job is to either deliver or take hits on a regular basis, you're getting just as worn down playing in the AAF as you would in the NFL. You're not getting paid nearly as much as you should be. And like at the same time, even if you do get picked up by an NFL squad, are you going to play, 24 football games in 1 year then, because you're going to play the like 8, I guess there are, for an AAF season, and then another 16 that same year for the NFL season? Or are you going to have to like skip that NFL year because your body can't handle the pounding, and then you lost out on all that NFL money because of the AAF? Like, there are just so many quandaries to me. Like, if you're an NFL player who can't make an NFL team, train harder, or just retire. Like, if you can't make an NFL squad, that's like, to me, if you are an NFL player but you can't make a team, I can understand wanting to like train harder and maybe try and make a team next year or whatever. But if the league has passed you by, it's time to hang up the cleats. It's time to call it a life. It's time to call it a career, at least. And maybe then you won't have to call it a life as early, because you won't be ruining your fucking body and your brain for basically pennies on the dime.
Beautifully said. All right, next question.
All right, fourth and final question from Ella. What are your thoughts going into Avengers Endgame?
I'm hype as hell. Like, I'm really fucking excited, and I'm gonna keep this brief because I actually do think Ashton, with a lot of other things, Game of Thrones, he is very passionate, and he does the deep dives, and like he appreciates all that stuff. For me, my enjoyment, while meaningful and while legitimate, is far more like superficial. It doesn't dig that deep into the surface. But I will say, this is a huge feat for Marvel. This was a long form story, over a decade telling this fucking story. And to see it punctuated is going to just be an incredible experience in and of itself. It's art. I actually read a great thread recently that rewatched Infinity War and talked about how the lighting with the Gamora and Thanos scenes, like that in itself was a narrative device. And it almost just makes me like, if it wasn't such like a long endeavor, I'd want to go back and watch all the movies over again, just to see how even the little things like the lighting and the sound and this and that were used narratively. Like, these weren't just cheap superhero movies. They had substance, they had depth, they had a legitimate emotional arc, and we're going to see it culminate at Endgame. And I think that's really fucking cool. I'm really psyched. What about you, Ashton?
I'm really excited too. I'm like, this is I was very excited for Infinity War, but I also low key going into it kind of expected Thanos to win, because like we knew, there's going to be like an Avengers 4 next year, and they never do their Avengers movies that close together. So I kind of figured that it would be like a two-parter, and that Thanos would win in a way by the end of the first movie. Like, I thought he would collect like 4 or 5 of the 6 stones in the first movie, and that would be how he won, by just not dying. I didn't think he would actually get off the snap. That was a surprise to me, but I figured that it would be at least enough of a hanging thread to require what would effectively be a sequel to the Infinity War movie. So because of that, though, the reason that I said that is because I wanted to say, because of all that, because I kind of knew that it would be more of like a part 1 of 2, I was hyped, but I also kind of tempered my expectations, because I didn't want to go into it thinking like this is going to wrap everything up, because I kind of knew intrinsically that it wouldn't. This, though, like, Endgame feels like, well, like its namesake, feels like an endgame. It feels like the end of an era for Marvel. Like, I know we've had, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and now we're closing in on the end of phase 4. From what I understand, they might not even have phases after Endgame. They might just straight up split the universe in half between the street level heroes and the universe level heroes. And we'll have like one side of the MCU will be like Spider-Man and like like the Netflix heroes, like all those guys, Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. And I really hope they get brought back, man. I really do. And then like Hawkeye and Black Widow and Cap and that kind of group on one end. And then on the other hand, you have like Thor and the Guardians and Captain Marvel and like Doctor Strange and like the universe level shit. And they would just do away with phases and just kind of split it down the middle between those two kind of sides of a coin, and just put movies out, like 1 or 2 movies a year, from those two kind of sides, the universe and the street level, that kind of thing. So that's what I've heard, and like it kind of plays into this whole idea that like it really is the end of an era. Plus, Disney Plus is coming out very soon. I've heard that that's supposed to come out like this coming month, like April or May, is what I've heard. At least like a plan to roll it out, and it's supposed to be able to be like subscribed to and used by like October, November. So it's really close. And when Disney Plus rolls around, I've got to imagine the amount of content that they're going to be putting out, because there are already all kinds of like um leaks, I guess, or maybe they just made the announcements themselves about shows that they're going to be having. Like there's going to be one where they're going to have a show centered around Loki himself. They're going to have a show centered around, oh, who was it? It was two characters in the MCU. I'm blanking on it, but they're going to have legit shows about like MCU characters. Like they're not going to just like, oh, we have the story we want to tell, but it doesn't deserve a movie, so let's just give it like an 8 episode series or something like that. They're going to legitimately have like big time MCU actor characters in shows. Like it's going to be crazy. And like I guess there's going to be something with Hawkeye. Oh, Falcon and Bucky. That's what the one TV show was. I think that's what it was, at least. Falcon, Sam Wilson, Falcon, and Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier, or White Wolf, I guess it is now. I guess those two guys are going to be in a show together where they're going to be like the double two leads. So I guess they're going to be on a show. Loki and well, no, I think there was going to be something with Scarlet Witch, but I don't think it was necessarily linked with Loki. I think they have two separate things going there. But yeah, like they're coming up with all kinds of stuff. But that's all, from what I understand, at least that's all post Endgame. And that's my thing too, is like Endgame is such a huge deal because how many spoilers to Endgame have been held back by Marvel's advertising of everything after Endgame? Like, they already kind of spoiled in a way that Peter Parker is still alive by having a trailer for Homecoming, but like how much else have they not spoiled that they could have spoiled, because there are inevitably going to be spoilers in post Endgame content. Like I'm waiting, man, for like San Diego Comic-Con, which I think is in like June or July. I'm waiting for, or like whatever. I think there's like a Disney 23 or whatever, like whatever big conference, like the first big conference that happens after Endgame drops. There is going to be like the shit is going to hit the wall when it comes to Marvel content. They are going to unload on our fucking chests because there's going to be such a massive dump of A, new content coming, and B, new details on content we already knew about. That's just going to be mind-blowing because, of course, everything will have been affected somehow or another by the snap. Like, what kind of ramifications is the snap going to have on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 6? What kind of ramifications might the introduction of Skrulls to the Marvel Cinematic Universe have on AOS and the AOS universe? Like, for all we know, the Phil Coulson that we saw die could have been a fucking Skrull. And like the new Coulson that we're seeing in the AOS Season 6 trailer could be the original Coulson who got like abducted by the Skrulls and has been living as like a fucking space pirate for the last decade and a half or 2 decades. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, there are so many ramifications that could come from Captain Marvel and the introduction of Skrulls and then Endgame. That's why they had those two movies so close together. Those two movies were like a month and a half apart. Marvel never does movies that close together, but they had to this time because they had to get Captain Marvel out before Infinity or before Endgame. And then they wanted to have Endgame out as early as possible because of how much shit they have to withhold until that comes out. Like, I'm so excited for it, man. It's crazy.
That's what I mean, though, man. Like, your thoughts like fire off like a cylinder, and you've done these deep dives in me. I'm just like, I just want to see the fight. I just want to see Captain Marvel and Thanos kill each other. So yeah, it's gonna be great, man. I do agree with you absolutely about the reverberations that this film will have for years to come with Marvel's properties, especially as Disney continues to expand. And now that they've acquired Fox and those properties, shit's about to pop off. See, that's the thing too. you could be hyped for Endgame and you could be hyped for the ending of that arc, but things aren't just going to calm down after that. If anything, oddly enough, it's just going to be ramped up after that for all the reasons you mentioned, plus everything going on the outside with what Disney's been doing with Marvel. So, yeah, a lot of crazy shit on the horizon for sure. Next set of questions.
Our final set of questions. We've got 5 from Alex Foster. First up, with Dean Ambrose's departure being announced after rumors spread, should companies address rumors in storylines?
You know, I think pragmatically, I would say yes, because I think it's a kind of damage control, because they know the internet's going to talk about it anyway, and that a million postulations are going to be made, like, oh, are they really leaving? If they are they going to AEW? No, they're not leaving. It's work, this and that. So if you get ahead of it and you put forward your narrative, that may quell it a bit. Like, it's still going to happen regardless. But again, I look at it as a form of damage control. And then, incidentally, if you're able to work it out, like say you put that out there, but you're still secretly negotiating, which is what I heard they were doing with Dean, and say you do strike a deal, then you can use that as a narrative device. Say, for example, they got Dean to stay, right? And we don't know it. Maybe they're able to hypothetically keep it under wraps.
That's what I'm convinced is true.
And then at, like, say Mania, he comes out and maybe he costs Roman his match hypothetically, and then he says, you know what, I was gonna leave, but then I realized the one thing I want to do that I never got to do was beat the shit out of you, or just something to that effect. And then you have what was once damage control then becomes a narrative device. Like, oh yeah, Dean was all ready to leave, but he saw Roman, man, and he saw Roman once again push him back, into the furthest corner of the Shield while he soaked up all the limelight, and Dean couldn't stand it. So I think it serves a twofold purpose. It's damage control, and then if you're still able to get the win and hang on to the talent, you can use it as a narrative device. And then if you can't and they walk out, at least you got ahead of it. So honestly, I'm actually going to say yes to this question. I think they should do it more. Just looking purely from pragmatics, I don't see why not. So I'm curious if you agree or if you disagree. So I'm going to give you the floor here to answer this.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Like, I think it depends on the company, really. Like if you would have asked this question about Lucha Underground, I would have said hell the fuck no, because they have their own universe and they should never address any kind of anything that comes from the like non-kayfabe version of our universe. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Absolutely.
Whereas like with WWE, I think it's something that depends on the situation, because like I think that I really like here's my how like my skeptical mind naturally works this way. I believe, and now again, I'm sure me saying this, there are going to be people in our chat that are like, holy shit, Ashton is a fucking crazy conspiracy theorist nut job. But here's what I think happened, right? I think the WWE were the ones that put the Dean Ambrose's leaving rumors out there in the first place. Because, like, where the fuck does Meltzer get his news from? Like, his only source in WWE that we know of is fucking Ric Flair. And his geriatric old ass is more than happy to do Vince's bidding for him, even if it means giving Meltzer fake news. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
So I think Vince had Rick give Meltzer the Ambrose is leaving WWE story as a way to spark the face turn for Ambrose. So because he found out Roman was going to be able to return in time for WrestleMania, because he wanted to do the one last Shield match. Like, that's the whole thing. I think that was the whole point of it. I don't think Ambrose is actually leaving, but I think that Vince wanted him to be face for us to be able to get another Shield run. Because remember, before the leukemia, the Shield were together. Like, the Shield, before leukemia came around, like that, the same night that the leukemia announcement happened with Roman, that same night, Ambrose attacked Rollins, right?
Yeah.
Like, once the Shield gets back together, like, I still do think that assuming Ambrose doesn't leave right away after Mania, he's going to have to go back to heel. And I think that that'll be a way to get him. It's like an easy heat thing, is like, I could have left, but I would rather stay here and make your life miserable, Roman, or something like that, So like, I am under the impression personally that Ambrose, maybe his contract expired after WrestleMania, but I thoroughly believe that they have re-upped him as recently as like last month.
Right. Okay. Okay, very
So
interesting.
I'm pretty sure that this was like Vince wants the fans to think Ambrose is leaving so that he can turn him face because Roman's coming back and we need to get another Shield run out. Like that's like my mind trying to think like Vince. You know what I mean?
Right, absolutely. Absolutely.
So if you know if you're Vince and you can use the dirt sheets to your advantage to kind of control the narrative, like that, and that's the thing too. And like I feel like this is almost something that maybe they do more often than we think, or maybe it's something that they should be doing more often than they do. Using dirt sheets and Meltzer and like pro wrestling sheet and stuff like that to put stories out there that maybe not everybody knows about to influence our opinions on these performers outside of the ring. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I could see what you're saying.
Like, the rumor, like with Big Cass, I think they might have even had something to do with this. WWE and Vince might have even had something to do with this. Big Cass is the perfect example of a guy where, um, you know, Vince, you know, Vince might. Here's the thing: Vince isn't stupid. He just makes decisions based not on popularity, but on the bottom dollar. That's where all of our conflicts with Vince McMahon as a decision maker come into play. Is he doesn't give a single shit who is the most talented or who is the most popular as far as like crowd reaction goes or anything like that. All he cares about is who draws the most eyes, who sells the most merch, who gets the most asses in seats of house shows. So, like, everything he does is based on the bottom dollar, right? And
Right.
and the reason I'm saying that is because, like, the way that I'm making this seem, it would almost be like, oh, Vince McMahon is some kind of like fucking crazy genius or something. Well, to be fair, pretty much everybody that's ever worked with Vince has said that he's a genius. So maybe it's not even that much of a stretch. But again, he is not focused on making decisions based on what we would want him to make decisions based on. He makes decisions based on what he thinks can make him the most money. So that being said, he isn't dumb and he knows that, like, even though he probably firmly believes in all of these like right-wing conservative Republican ideals, he also knows that those aren't necessarily very popular among his base, among the WWE fan, and especially like internet fans, like especially people who read dirt sheets. So I would be willing to bet that he either okayed or planted the story about Cass being unpopular backstage because he was like an open Trump supporter. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Because Cass and Enzo were reportedly both problems in the locker room. And I think Vince was just looking for an excuse to fire them. And that might have been a way to get the fans to turn on them too.
Yeah, I mean, that actually makes sense to me.
And like the
Yeah.
Enzo getting thrown off the tour bus thing, that too.
Yeah.
And of
Yeah.
course, in that story, who threw him off the tour bus, right?
Yeah, exactly.
With
Yeah.
fucking Roman. So yeah, like I'm totally convinced that Vince is just working the world with a lot of the, and especially Meltzer, because like Meltzer is that like unabashed, like, please don't like cut me off, please just let me keep sucking from that teat kind of guy, where like he doesn't give a shit if he's reporting something true or false, as long as he is able to continue churning out news and saying, oh, well, I guess things change whenever he's wrong, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like,
Absolutely.
especially with Meltzer, like, they probably feed him all kinds of false bullshit just to kind of put forward certain narratives, you know?
Yeah, no, that's actually really well thought out, and I could totally see that happening. Because I mean,
Yeah,
look, when
like, I
you're
wouldn't be
yeah,
surprised at all if Vince had like a small division of his marketing team focused on like what the sort of perception of certain people is so that he can either A, lean into that, or B, try and change it.
right. Yeah, man, no, that's completely understandable to me, man, for sure. I think when you're a company as big as WWE is, why wouldn't you wanna control the narrative that way? You
Yeah,
know?
like you don't
Like,
need that
yeah.
many people. Like you can just get like a team of like probably single digits, like under 10 people to just spend a few hours a day on social media sites looking up names and writing down like what the sentiments towards those people are. And hell, you don't even need a team of people. You could automate that shit using Amazon MTurk. I've told you about that before. I used to make money off of that as a worker. but you could use Amazon MTurk, pay people pennies to be like, hey, look at this tweet and determine if it has a positive sentiment or a negative sentiment. And then like you can do millions of those and you can have all these people do it. And at the end of the day, you paid maybe a few $1,000 rather than actually employing anyone completely. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
ways to automate this shit that's so easy. And especially like specifically, it's so easy for a $1 billion corporation like the WWE to do. Like it seems like it seems like it would be too easy for them to just not do. You know what I mean?
No, for sure, dude. So I think that was as substantive an answer as you're gonna get. Next question.
You guys had a feud with a wrestler, like the way the Braun Strowman versus these SNL guys has been going. Who would it be against? And then he also specified, why do I feel Ashton would be innocent?
He would be, because I would be feuding with Samoa Joe after accidentally spilling coffee, but I would try and blame Ashton for it the entire time. Like, because I know.
But you love Samoa Joe. You're a big Samoa Joe fan. I feel like you'd be more likely to get into a feud with like fucking Natalia or something.
I mean, you're probably right about that, but I'm just thinking like it's also my life though to really love somebody and then to just make like either a verbal or a physical blunder. And I just know like I would knock into Samoa Joe, spill something or drop something, and I'd be like, well, the coffee was for him, indicating you, and then hope that he would choke you out instead of me. So probably wouldn't work though. But
it would make for good
TV
right. though. It would make for good TV for sure.
Absolutely. And then, you know, because you're just so dominant, powerful when you come to, and you're just like, you know what, John, I'm sick of your shit. I probably would want to deal with Joe in that case. But yeah, I would start with Joe, hope to avoid consequences because I'm an asshole, and then suffer twice the consequences in the end anyway. Oh, yeah. All right, what about you? Who are you feuding with?
Oh my God, Ella.
Oh, wow.
She's doing her best Joe impression.
It's not a no, but okay.
Yeah.
Needs cream. Oh, I got the cream right here. Oh God. But no.
Wow, this got sexual quickly.
Giggity. But no.
Well, no, it wasn't. It's they're not asking. I think that the whole point is like, obviously, you would be the one to get into the confrontation. I would be the innocent. Like, I would be the Michael Che of the situation, right?
Yeah.
You're the Colin Jost.
And then you know too that even though I love Joe, there probably would come a point where I'd double down. Like I would spill the coffee again. Oh shit! No, I'm sorry. I was just playing. No.
I like how you actually pantomime him slapping your face.
Oh man. Put a cookie in my mouth. Oh yes, Joe. Can we do peanut butter? Those samosas are kind of shit. Oh man.
I would want us to show up to a show wearing like DX t-shirts, but like I would have the Triple H one and you would have the Shawn Michaels one. And then like Natalia would show up and be like, "Oh, Shawn Michaels," and you would say, "Yeah, better than your uncle."
Oh.
And that would be like the spark of your feud with Natalia.
I would do the triangle snap to her face.
You totally would too. Oh my God. And then she would grab your hand and break a finger, but yeah.
Yeah. Now go clean your cat's litter box, Natty. Sick burn.
God. I want you to say TJ deserves better to her face.
Oh. TJ deserves better, Natty. And then I'd laugh, and then I would still again. Triangle snap, bitch.
Oh my God. Yeah. She would lock you in a sharpshooter so fucking fast you wouldn't even know what to do.
And in between the screams, I'd be like, Ishii does it better.
So does Cesaro.
Oh God, does
Cesaro was a better partner for TJ than you've ever been, Natalia.
I regret everything and nothing. Oh man.
All right, third question from Foster. Byron Saxton may be my favorite thing about Kofi Mania right now. When else has there been an example of commentary being this crucial to the storyline in wrestling? JR? With Stone
You know what? I'd say JR Stone Cold Survivor Series 03 of the 5-on-5. Because, like, Austin was fighting for his career that night, and Jim having the relationship with Austin that he did, I feel like that made it immensely important. So I think you're right, the Jim Stone Cold relationship, but I'm just going to take that specific snapshot there. What about you?
I mean, that was also kind of my answer.
All right, we'll just go in on that because yeah, I think that really is.
You know what though? I will also say a really good example and one that we don't really think of because of the company that it is, Vampiro and Pentagon.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
Yeah, like that was built in, man. That was amazing. So that was a really good one. Fourth question from Foster: how should Kevin Owens make amends for all the people he's turned on?
He shouldn't. He already owned it. No, seriously. Like, this isn't even a scumbag thing. He acknowledged that he doesn't have friends in the Bryan promo. He also acknowledged that it was his fault. You know, just because you're a babyface doesn't mean you have to be actively committed to retconning the past, which is why I wish WWE wouldn't do it. I hate when they have newly turned babyfaces and they can suddenly share a locker room with people that they put through a windshield only a few months ago. Like, no, you can be a good person, but a good person isn't having a completely empty moral ledger or one that always comes up black, you know, like in terms of like, you know, profit. No, he owned it. He's striving to be a good guy now. Don't retcon shit. No, if anything, I mean, obviously that would make him a heel, but like, double down. Be like, no, I bullied you because I had to. I'd do it again. Like, you know, like what's he gonna do? So no, I don't think he should make amends because I think that's counterintuitive to any like valuable babyface. So that's just my 2 cents on it.
Nice, good call. All right. Fifth and final question, and the last question of our March Q&A from Alex Foster. What shows did you watch as a kid that you would probably hate now?
Rugrats definitely for one, and the spinoff of All Grown Up definitely.
Dude, I couldn't even get into All Grown Up. I watched the first like 3 or 4 episodes, and I just stopped watching. Like, it's not even that I made like an active decision, like, hey, this sucks, I'm done with it. I just didn't care enough about it to continue watching, and I eventually just forgot to watch it and stopped watching.
Yeah, absolutely.
Johnny Bravo, probably.
Yeah, Johnny Bravo.
Although I will say, watching it with you would probably be hilarious because you could probably relate to him.
On some level, I did even as a kid. Like I enjoyed Johnny. I probably wouldn't enjoy it as much now. Let me think. What else? Cat Dog. I probably wouldn't like as much now, even though I did somewhat enjoy it as a kid. I probably would like it less now. Hey Arnold still holds up, so I'm not going to say that one. That's still.
I'm going to say probably Ed, Edd n Eddy.
I could understand that. I don't
know if I could tolerate Eddie's voice right now.
Yeah.
That high-pitched shrill.
Yeah. No, that's understandable. When you put it that way, I can understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Any other answers you want to give?
Man. It's funny because I feel it's kind of almost like a redundant question because I feel like any shows from my childhood that I can think of are probably shows that I look back fondly on. Whereas the ones that I didn't like are probably the ones that I've forgotten about, which is I'm having a hard time coming up with an answer here. Because even like when I was a kid, I didn't like Beavis and Butthead. I didn't like Ah Real Monsters. Maybe Rocko's Modern Life, but I don't even know.
Yeah, dude, honestly, I couldn't even get into that show as a kid. It was too surreal for me. Maybe
you know what? I have the perfect answer.
Sure.
Gullah Gullah Island.
I don't even remember that one.
Oh God, I'm old. I'm so sorry, John.
I mean, dude, we talked about that though. We know you're old. We have to just own it. It's life now.
But there was a character in that show that was like a dude dressed up in a frog suit, and it was called Binya Binya Pollywog, and I loved that character as a kid, but I would cringe so fucking hard if I had to watch that today. But then again, it's like it's targeted towards little kids anyway, so that makes sense. Stuff like that, like Blue's Clues and Dora the Explorer, like stuff that's obviously targeted at like under 10-year-old kids. Like obviously, I would be cringe. That would induce me to cringe. What words am I going for here, John? Help me.
I feel like your words were good enough. We've been
Cow and Chicken is a good one.
Yeah, Cow and Chicken, I don't think I'd really like that much as an adult. I liked it as a kid, but yeah, it was pretty stupid. Never forget Super Cow, though. One of the most underrated superheroes of all time.
Was there a show called Kablam?
Yeah. Wasn't it that comic book show with Henry and Jim, the cartoon characters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one. That's a good one because if I remember correctly, that had really fucking stupid humor.
Yeah.
Amanda Show
Totally.
too. The Amanda Show was another one that had really fucking stupid humor.
Yeah, some segments, honestly, even as an adult, I still go back and watch. But I can understand like people kind of hating that, like after a bit. That's yeah, that's
Like
relatable.
fucking dancing lobsters.
Yeah, bring in the dancing lobsters. Oh man.
That was like the Judge Judy spin-off kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
Uh,
All in the Family is a great one. I know Foster said Family Matters, but that's like Steve Urkel. All in the Family, though. I watched All in the Family when I was like 9, 10, 11, 12, a few nights a week, I would say, because I always stayed up for Nick at Night. And like, that show is a fucking problem.
wait, what show is this now, brother?
All in the Family
All in the Family. Was
with
that?
Archie Bunker.
Oh yeah, that old fuck. Yeah, yeah, it is. It is a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shit, man.
Yeah.
And then you like uncover the Brady Bunch and realize like half the cast was sleeping with each other, and it's just like there's nothing sacred.
Yeah. I mean, that's the
Uh,
thing. Like, I always stayed up for Nick at Night, so I got to watch all that shit. Like, Brady Bunch, Wonder Years, All in the Family, I Love Lucy, Laverne and Shirley, Happy Days, Cheers would sometimes be on, that kind of stuff.
yeah, yeah, man, absolutely.
But I
Yeah,
enjoyed pretty much all of that. But the only one that I can think of that was like really, really bad, like would not be able to air today if it was new today, was All in the Family.
yeah, for sure. I could see that.
And I'm sure there are like individual episodes of those other shows that probably wouldn't make air today, but not the entire show. Like the entire premise of All in the Family is racist white guy has a life.
Yeah. Hypothesis is like if it wasn't for Archie, we wouldn't have Cartman though. I don't know.
I
I
mean,
don't
that's
know.
fair. I mean, Cartman is but the difference is like Cartman is so clearly meant to be the fucking villain in South Park, whereas Archie was like the main protagonist of All in the Family.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Hey man, I feel like I answered this question as best I could,
But
and
I'm
you
not.
gave
But that's
it.
the thing, though. Is like I'm not saying like All in the Family never should have been made. Like I'm sure there are people that would argue for that. I'm just saying that's a show that I liked when I was a kid that I would hate today. Like that's.
Yeah.
I guess that it's just a different way of interpreting the question. Because like when you're a kid, all of the hateful shit that gets said on that show goes over your head. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I think that's an interesting take on the question because you know, when you get older, you obviously know better. And I
Yeah.
think that can both enhance enjoyment of shows and also take away from it. Like there are some shows that like I loved as a kid that I probably would love more now because of the adult humor that they were able to secretly pepper in there. It's like, oh, that's what they were joking about. Oh
Oh,
shit. You
you
know,
know
like
what
that kind of
though?
stuff.
You know what though? Speaking of stuff that aged poorly or well relative to like when you watched it and when like how things have changed since then, John and I are going to go on a little bit of an adventure, a movie adventure this month. So for y'all that like to ask us about this kind of stuff, we are going to be going on a turn of the millennium teen dramedy movie adventure this month. We've already watched American Pie, so we're set on that. But we're also now this month we're going to be watching Varsity Blues, She's All That, 10 Things I Hate About You, Bring It On, and then Can't Hardly Wait. And once we get through those 5, we're going to be watching Not Another Teen Movie. And for those of you that remember Not Another Teen Movie from when you were like an actual teenager, watch it again because I haven't watched that movie in probably 15 years, and I just watched it like a night or two ago, and it is a fucking satirical masterpiece.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because Ashton suggested it to me, and I'm fucking game, you know, for new
Yeah, like
experiences and
not
stuff.
even
So
joking when I say Not Another Teen Movie is the Cabin in the Woods of these like teen dramedy type movies. Like the way that Cabin in the Woods was able to effectively satirize while simultaneously paying tribute to horror movies of the past. That's exactly what Not Another Teen Movie does with these like teen dramedy type films.
right, yeah, yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing it, man. But Man, we went hard at this. It's been close to like 3.5 hours because we actually we did start a bit late because
Yeah,
like what, like 10.
we started at like 10 after.
So yeah, not like 3.5, but that's still over 3 hours though.
Yeah, and
So
by the
yeah.
time we get through our outro and stuff, it'll probably be closer to 3.5.
So yeah, I'm just gonna take it here, guys. Run through it real quick. I want to thank everybody that came out and joined us. You guys were fucking awesome. Man, what a Q&A this was, especially that one question from Iconic. I can't believe I went that hard at it. So I hope you guys all had fun with it. I definitely had fun with it, although admittedly I'm exhausted as hell. That was crazy. Next Q&A will be April 26th. Actually, no, April 25th. Excuse me, April 25th. See, I told you I'm exhausted. April 25th, because it's the last Thursday of every month that we do Q&A. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, all the mediums with which to submit your Q&A questions. Patreon donors get up to 5 questions per Q&A. Non-Patreon donors only get 3 questions per Q&A. You can ask us anything you want. Divvy up the questions however you like. If you want Discord access, and thinking about Patreon donation, that's a minimum of $3, so you can bump up, your count of questions to 2, get up to 5 for a price of $3. I think that's a pretty nice deal. 5 questions for only $3. So yeah, think about it. If you can donate, great. If not, we totally understand. And yeah, I'll have the pinned tweet for the next Q&A after we go off the air here. And we will see you guys again. Do we have any recordings this weekend? Because I know next week is crazy. But do we?
Yeah,
have
no. This is the last recording until next Wednesday, when we are going to be either reviewing or live reacting to NXT. We'll see.
Right. All right, guys. So we'll see you then. And yeah, now I'm going to hand it over to Ashton to take us home.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed Q&A. Remember to ask our questions. Get your questions in for April then. If you are a patron donor, you get 5 questions a month. If you are not a patron donor, you can still ask up to 3 questions every month. The minimum there is only $1. If you just donate $1 a month, you get those 2 extra questions. You get up to 5, and you also get voting power to determine what we live react to in a given month. So all kinds of different perks there. $3 gets you into the Discord. Also a nice perk there because we have a nice convenient channel for Q&A questions there as well. It's very, like I said, convenient, nice, and elegant. So for those of you that would like to support us, you can do it that way. You can follow us on Twitter. You can like our Facebook, like this video, subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon, buy our merch on Teespring, all those options. You can also share this channel with all your wrestling fan friends and let them in on the best kept secret in the YouTube wrestling community. Just to clear that up, Mark, if the vote comes out that we're going to be live reacting to SmackDown Live, we still will not be reacting to it next Tuesday unless somebody specifically requests it. Because next Tuesday is the first of 5 Tuesdays in the month of April. And the way that the Patreon works is basically like, it'll be 80. The goal is $80 because it's 4 2-hour shows. So it ends up adding up to, 2 hours would be a $20 live reaction times 4. So in order for us to do all 5 SDLs, it would be 100, which we're probably not going to hit because we've been kind of stuck on 80 for a few months now. So that's why I said we're not going to be live reacting to SmackDown next Tuesday unless somebody requests it, which is possible. So I'm not going to completely shut it down, but the plan as of right now is no SDL reaction. Also, I think, let me see something real quick. Yeah, so Wednesday is the earliest that we would be doing any kind of reactions to anything, and that could be NXT UK, it could be just regular old NXT, could even, yeah, I guess that would be it. I guess 205 Live, well, no, because that would be on Tuesday too. So yeah, it would be either NXT UK or NXT if those end up getting voted for in the poll. So we'll see. And that being said, guys, we do hope that you enjoyed, and we hope that you stay tuned for next Wednesday when we'll be either live reacting to or reviewing NXT. And then TWitWoW Mania begins, because next Thursday, preview and predictions for TakeOver New York. Then Friday is live reactions to it. Then preview for WrestleMania. Then live reactions to G1 Supercard. Then live reactions to WrestleMania and the post-WrestleMania Raw and SmackDown. Then it just keeps like, then we do 5 Fave 5, then we do a mock, like a predictions based like superstar shakeup thing. Then we react to the superstar shakeup. There's so much stuff coming up in the next couple weeks, guys. It's bonkers. You're going to want to make sure to have your bell icon turned on so that you get notified whenever we go live. Because I mean, I'm going to try and get a schedule up, but at the same time, like keeping up with those schedules can sometimes be difficult. And you just never know. Maybe you're going to just be like, oh, yeah, well, it doesn't have anything to do. But wait, actually, it turns out we're doing our mock superstar shakeup today, and you forgot about it. Good thing you had your notifications turned on, right? So you got to make sure you got your notifications on. Get that bell icon clicked once you subscribe to the channel. But that all being said, like I said, next week, we've just got something on Wednesday. I'm not sure if it'll be a review or a live reaction, but we know we're going to be doing one of those things for NXT. So until then, guys, we do hope that you remember to stay tuned.